Hey guys. This is part 8 of What If Naruto Was a Digimon Tamer. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start.
We are paid, that's all. We are God.
Chapter 19. Rescuing the Light. Point 2. So, you're Rika's boyfriend? Ryo asked, glaring into Naruto's sapphire eyes with his own brown ones. That's right, and I'm no doubt a better tamer than you. You barely control your own Digimon, Naruto growled as he pointed at the large humanoid dragon Digimon. Leave CyberDragon out of this, Blondie. You wanna go right now? Ryo said, backing off and putting up his fists, ready to fight. The others, minus Clockmon, Haguramon and CyberDragon, were in shock at Ryo's challenge. Naruto would slaughter the guy, Doraemon said. No doubt, Gatomon added. I can't wait to see how he wipes the floor with Rika's ex. Rika looked in shock at what Ryo did and what her boyfriend was about to do. Naruto smirked and backed away with his arms folded. I bet I could take you without my hands, Naruto said confidently. Naruto-kun, please don't, you might hurt him, Rika said, knowing full well how powerful her boyfriend was. Even without using chakra, he could break a grown man's ribs with a single strike, having seen the act done firsthand. A/N referred to Chapter 8. Rika, you really think this guy could beat me? Ryo looked at his former girlfriend before receiving a glare from the fiery-haired girl. Just shut up, Ryo. You've caused enough trouble for today, Rika growled before taking Naruto's hand. Come on guys, we have to meet up with the others as soon as we can. The Digimon, minus CyberDragon, Clockmon and Haguramon, along with Kazu and Kenta, shrugged before turning around, going to walk in some random direction in hopes of finding a way back to the group. Ryo gritted his teeth, his fist clenched as his brown eyes attempted to burn a hole into the back of the blonde shinobi's head. I'm not going to let some blonde baka steal my girl and get away with it, the so-called legendary tamer thought before lunging at the blonde. His fist cocked back, aimed for Naruto's head. However, due to Naruto's sixth sense for danger and his shinobi skills, he sensed movement behind him. Naruto ripped his hand free from Rika's grip before turning around, his blue eyes changing crimson as he put up a hand and blocked Ryo's fist. Naruto then redirected the fist before moving his left foot forward, thus positioning his body in such a way that the blonde grabbed Ryo by the throat and slammed him down on the ground. Ryo gasped in pain as he felt the impact. CyberDragon raced to help his tamer. That even though CyberDragon was not really that tamed, Ryo granted him power that he could never have achieved and therefore needed to get rid of the threat that is Naruto. However, as CyberDragon leaped to the attack, he was halted as Doraemon, Gatomon, and surprisingly Ryudomon all jumped to perform a powerful triple kick, one to head, one to the chest, and one to the lower abdominals. CyberDragon flew through the air before being restrained as Doraemon wrapped his arm around CyberDragon's head, performing a choke hold while Gatomon and Ryudomon held down his arms using surprising strength. Stay down, the three Digimon told the large ultimate level, who still fought to free himself. Naruto neared Ryo's face as the brown-haired boy tried desperately to free himself. Naruto's grip was far too rigid to break free of, and Ryo eventually was left to just gripping Naruto's wrist in a feeble attempt to prevent further strangulation. Now listen here, you little punk, you better learn to not attack your superiors. I am far more powerful than any human and stronger than most Digimon. I can probably take down your little pet provided that I go all out or close to that, Naruto said as his eyes remained crimson. Now back off from Rika-chan, or I will personally make you see hell, the Jinchuriki growled as Ryo stared into those pools of death, as he was suddenly filled with visions of people dying, giant claws slicing them to shreds, the red and black fur of a giant creature with 9 tails, and the last sound he heard before fainted was the sound of the Kyubi no Kitsune's bestial roar. Naruto smirked as he saw Ryo's eyes roll into the back of head, his head lolling back as the brown-haired boy fainted. Alright, you three can let go of CyberDragon now, Naruto said. Doraemon, Gatomon and Ryudomon nodded before releasing the ultimate level Digimon. The 2 rookie and 1 champion Digimon jumped back to their friends' sides before the group walked off. Clockmon and Haguramon watched the blonde shinobis retreating back before looking at the legendary tamer and the large dragon Digimon, who seemed to be growling out of rage, but was really out its weakness. 2 rookies and a champion bested me, the dragon thought before walking over to his tamer. Must find more powerful opponents to fight in order to become stronger. Naruto, don't you think you went a little too far making Ryo faint? Rika asked. Naruto frowned. No. So why didn't you ever tell me you had an ex-boyfriend? Rika bit her lip as she could practically feel the intensity of his glare that he sent her way. Well, it never really mattered, she started. Naruto looked at her with a nod, but still pissed off look. Didn't matter? He practically spat out, Rika-chan, you could have at least told about this. Your little secret boyfriend that you would have never told me about. Rika turned to the blonde and stopped walking, grabbing him by the arm to stop him. The Digimon, who were up front, stopped and turned around to watch the lovers' spat that was about to unfold. Alright Naruto, listen up and listen well. I broke up with him. Rio was a perverted teen when we together. Besides, he was too much of a bother. He threw around his status as the Digimon king like as if it were toy a dog would play with. He thought he deserved respect from it. I didn't respect, but I only went out with him because, I'll admit, he was nice looking and because of his status as Digimon king. After I got to know him, I realized he was a baka and he was only harassing me, asking me where I was, who I was with. He was too clingy. Rika yelled at him, showing reasons as to why she chose to forget Rio. But the main reason, her voice went soft at that part, the main reason I broke up with him, was because I saw him with another girl, and making out with her. Rika clenched her fist at the emotionally scarring memory before looking at Naruto, who was looking at her with wide eyes. His sapphire eyes now filled with regret for getting mad at her, but there was a hidden feeling of intense rage towards Rio and gave even more reason as to why Naruto should beat him up. Wow, was all Naruto could say. I don't know what to say. I mean, wow. Naruto looked down in shame after what he just heard. He looked into Rika's eyes as she walked up to him and held his face in her hands. Look, Naruto-kun. It was a long time ago, we broke up and I've put it all behind me because it was all in the past. Besides, I love you now and no one is going to stop me from doing so. Rio was just a memory in the back of my mind and that is all he will be to me, Rika replied with a small smile. The blonde looked at his girlfriend before smirking and wrapping his arms around her shoulder and pulling her next to him. Arigato, Rika-chan, he whispered. No problem, she replied, giving him a kiss on the cheek. There was silence as the Digimon, Kazu and Kenta, turned away as the pair looked at them, whistling innocently and acting as if they hadn't witnessed one of the couple's first fights. You all can stop whistling now, the blonde and redhead said with a laugh, causing them all to scratch their heads in embarrassment. Alright then. Ryutaman looked around the landscape of clouds. We better get a move on and find another one of those teleportation data beams and get off this cloud city. High was the response from everyone before they headed off in a direction that to Gold Ramon knows where, with Takato and the others. Hot and thirsty. That was how Takato, Gilman, Henry, Terriermon, Leomon and Jerry felt at the moment. They were previously doing what they were supposed to be doing, heading south, at a walking pace. But now, due to the intense feeling of heat that somehow emerged after hours of walking, they were now reduced to trudging and or dragging their feet across the red sands of the seemingly endless desert landscape. Yuug, how long have we been walking? Takato asked. Henry sighed and licked his lips. He, along with everyone else, had been feeling thirsty for quite some time now. Henry had packed some water for the trip in large canteens, but sharing 3 canteens between 6 very thirsty Digimon and people proved to be an unwise decision as they downed all the water they had within the few hours they had been walking, and now they had none as they had underestimated the time it would take to cross a frickin' desert. Probably a few hours, just keep heading south, Henry said. Terriermon spread out his ears to provide Henry with much needed shade. Here you go, buddy. I'll keep you cool, the dog-eared bunny said to his tamer as he rested atop his head. The Asian tamer smiled up at his partner. Arigato, Terriermon. I'll be able to keep walking for a while longer now, Terriermon chuckled. Momentai, he replied. Leomon, you have good eyesight. See if you can find anything across the horizon or whatever you call it, Jerry panted. It's too hot to care what it's called, Gilman said as he dragged his feet and claws, leaving trails in the dirt. Man, I wish we could find someplace with shade and water, Leomon said to himself as he scanned the area. Unknown to them all, glowing golden figures floated above them, giggling to themselves before their glows became shines. The Diginomes stopped glowing before giggling once more and then flew off with a wave, but they were still unnoticed by the tamers and their partners. Leomon continued to look across the red sands before he spotted something in the distance. A Minasan, Leomon alerted everyone. I see something and it looks like, not desert. Really? Takato yelled in excitement and grabbing Leomon. Leomon looked at Takato with a sweat drop forming on the back of the lion Digimon's head. Yeah, he replied before getting Takato off of him. Right over there, in that direction, the blue-eyed lion pointed towards the southeast. At least they were heading south still. Takato laughed with excitement and insanity, but mostly insanity before he grabbed Gilman and climbed atop his back. Gilman gave an oof as he felt Takato's weight on him. Ikuzo, Gilman, mush! Takato yelled. Aye, Takatamon! Gilman cried out before taking off towards the unknown non-desert area at high speeds. speeds that no one knew Gilman possessed. Sug, they must be really thirsty, Jerry said. Come on, we gotta keep up, Leomon said before grabbing Henry and Jerry and placing them both on his large and broad shoulders. Yay, Leomon's giving us a ride, Terriermon said with glee atop Henry's head. Mush! Henry exclaimed. Leomon looked back at him with, Are you serious? Look, don't push it, Gaki the lion told the blue-haired boy before taking off after the goggle-wearing Tamer and the rapidly moving Crimson Lizard. After a few minutes of anime-enhanced running, which resulted in large trails of dust and sand being kicked up, the group finally reached the non-desert location, and it was a forested area. Ah! The group screamed in glee before running into the nice shade that the large trees and other types of foliage provided. They continued running before they suddenly felt the ground beneath them disappear. They seemed to pause in mid-air before rolling down the hill that were suddenly on, and stopping as they reached the bottom. Yo wuff, they groaned in pain. Gilman was the first to recover before sniffing the air. Oi guys, I think I smell. Gilman sniffed again. I smell water. Water? Gilman was thrown back from the sound waves generated from their shout due to the sheer volume of it. I think it's right in front of us. Gilman pointed his claws directly in front of them. The people and Digimon turned from Gilman to see only a thick mist in front of them. However, as they continued to look, as if by some unseen force, the mist began to disperse and decrease in thickness. A/N, unseen force equals me. All of a sudden they were gifted with the sight of a crystal blue lake filled with water that shone in the sunlight. And then suddenly as the lake was shown, the sound of an angel's chorus graced their ears. Sugie, Jerry said with wide eyes. I can hear angels singing, Takato said. Or it could be that group of Gekomon over there, Henry and Terriermon said, pointing out the group of frog-looking Digimon. Henry took out his Democrat Arkansas and scanned the Gekomon to learn the information he could learn from his green Democrat Arkansas. The group turned to see that there was in fact a group of Gekomon. Gekomon were frog-looking Digimon, with emerald green skin and a white underbelly. Gekomon, champion level. Their tongues contained holes on the tip, and around their neck was a golden horn/trumpet. Through these 4 holes, music came through which can be melded with their singing to create amazing tones and music that is able to influence the feelings of others. Their signature attack is Symphony Crusher, the Asian Tamer Red. The frog-like Digimon, with their red-colored eyes never blinking as they sang in a harmony that in complete contradictory to their looks, which was quite beautiful as they looked just plain but ugly. The Gekomon are famous for their singing, Leomon explained. Although their appearances are not the best, their voices and the music they make through the holes in their tongues and the trumpet on their necks more than make up for it. Okay guys, a large red Digimon said in front of the Gekomon. Let's now try out the song we've been working on. What Digimon is that? Takato took out his red Democrat Arkansas and scanned the largest of the Digimon that was a part of the Gekomon's choir. This Digimon resembled a toad or a bullfrog in more ways than one and was the Digivolved, ultimate level form of the Gekomon and their leader. The holographic image of the large red Digimon appeared on the Democrat Arkansas. The large red behemoth of a Digimon was larger than even Leomon and had the crazed look that the Gekomon all had in his eyes. There were 2 horns on his shoulders and topknot on his head. There are 2 tape strips across his belly, where it indicates the Digimon has an outie navel, belly button. He also has 2 claw-like whiskers. Shogun Gekomon, ultimate level. His singing voice can be manipulated scale-wise by his 2 horns, which also act as brass instruments. His voice is far lower than a Gekomon's, making him the samurai lord of all Gekomon. His attacks are musical fist and horn howling. Takato read before pocketing his Democrat Arkansas. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3 for the horns then blared on all of the Gekomon as well as on Shogun Gekomon in one large chorus of brass instruments. That's loud, Jerry yelled to Takato. Yeah, I know, the goggle-wearing Tamer yelled back. Now let's start singing their trumpets. The front and middle rows of the 5 rows of Gekomon began playing what they would assume to be the melody. Meanwhile the ones in back played an accompaniment piece. Full Metal Alchemist opening for period. Aoranaki tabi no tacha takedo marisu na toki. Fukai tamaiki kabosa bokura wa. Sakamakakit wa mata hanaridida. Demo ayame wa mao nani mo osora koto wa nai. Kokoro o tsunagatsuya kizuna wa. Keshite hodok wa shernayase. Sagashit Suzuki tadaritsuda. Kono basho de period ni. Ai ni machida nakumari karadaja kakamegiru. Nido tukiera koto nai kyokujie. Kanarazu yakusoka hadashite kimi o tsuratikiyo. Afuraru yumo nigai date. Subiguta ni nozit. Genjitsu karami o sorasaza ni. Tashimuka yukio. Kanashimi akari chikara ni kit. Unyai wa sugasoba ni. Mukao saki waora. Kuramika sekai. Boku o furaway sakono kansayo. Urajura koto wa shernayase. Tomo ni akita kamarai no tame ni. Kono basho de period ni. Shinjitsu wa yubasaki ni. Takato and the others could only stare in amazement at the song the amphibious Digimon just sang as they took a bow. Then Jerry began to clap, which caused a chain reaction, thus causing the others to clap. Henry even performed the whistle where you stick 2 fingers in your mouth. Encore, encore, Gilman cried out. More, Terriermon said. Excellent music by all of you, Leomon said. The Gekomon looked surprised along with their leader, Shogun Gekomon, at the appearance of humans. Are you guys humans? Shogun Gekomon asked, and to the confusion of everyone, he sounded exactly like Morgan Freeman for some reason. Hi, we came here to the digital world to help a friend, but we need to rest for a while. By the way, nice job, Henry explained. The large red bullfrog Digimon nodded with a smile. I see. Well, welcome to the mildly swampy area that is my and my choir's home. Gekomon, say hello to our guest, Shogun Gekomon said. Ohio humans, the green Digimon said with smiles. Ohio, I'm Matsuki Takato. This is my partner Gilman, the red Democrat Arkansas-wielding Tamer introduced himself and his partner. That's Wong Henry and his partner Terriermon, the Asian Tamer nodded, while Terriermon gave an enthusiastic wave and smile. And finally over there is Katu Jerry and her partner Leomon. Nice to meet you guys, the female Tamer greeted while Leomon gave a nod of respect to the Gekomon and their leader. Shogun Gekomon smiled and waved at the Tamers and their partners before a serious look crossed his face. So, I see that you like our music and our singing, judging by your reactions, the leader of the Gekomon said in voice that was still eerily familiar to Morgan Freeman's. Yeah, amazingly talented you guys are, Jerry said with a small clap, causing the large Digimon to chuckle. You humans have good taste in music then. Would you like to hear some more? Shogun Gekomon asked. Of course. The group replied with happy expressions. Very well, the large crimson bullfrog said with a wilder-than-average look in his already wild-looking eyes. Turning to his group, Shogun Gekomon smirked before counting the timing for the next song. 1, 2, 3, 4, okay guys. Hit it! With Naruto and his group. The group of 4 Digimon and 4 humans continued to traverse the snow-white area, but it never seemed to end and they hadn't even come across any other Digimon, which was both good and bad because they wouldn't have to fight. But that means that there were also no signs of a digital transportation beam coming back up to this place. Naruto-kun, we've been walking for hours, Rika whined. Can we rest now? Yeah, I'm a bit tired myself, Naruto said before dropping down on his knees. Rika, Kazu, Kenta and the Digimon also fell to the soft, fluffy surface of the Cloud City, the only sounds being the echoing, monotonous sound of the broken cuckoo clock they had left behind, that surprisingly carried the sound of its ticking throughout the entire area. That and their breathing were the only sounds heard. It's amazing how that cuckoo clock ticking could be so annoying, Kazu commented. Yeah, Kenta agreed. So, Ryutaman, have you ever been to this part of the digital world, this cloud place? Doraemon asked. No, he stated, earning sighs of disappointment from the group causing him to sweat drop. Kyuso Rinamon cursed. Gomen, but the only chance of getting off this place is with the transportation data beam, the samurai armor-wearing dragon told the group. The group then proceeded to rest, unknown to them that the Diginomes were watching from above. The little ancestors of the Digimon all giggled before waving their hands. Their soft glowing bodies became similar to shining beacons in the sky before releasing a pink aura of power that shot off a few miles away from where the group was now currently resting. The pink aura then transformed into a beam of data, the transportation beam. The Diginomes giggled once more before flying away, leaving no trace of ever being there. The pink beam of data then neared the group, casting a soft glow over their bodies. The group quickly sat up, their eyes widened in surprise before their vision was engulfed with pink. Nanny? Was the only word that escaped their lips, an exclamation before they vanished from where they were sitting. Gekomon, Swamp Dark time. One more, please? Takato asked. The Gekomon were a bit tired from singing, but they could manage one more song. Don't worry, we may be tuckered out, but we'll be able to sing one more song, Shogun Gekomon said as he wiped his brow, which was covered with what seemed to be sweat. If you guys are tired, you don't have to, Henry said, feeling sorry for the tired amphibious Digimon. The darkness had come in the middle of one of their songs that they made up on the fly called Digimon Are the Champions, which sounded oddly familiar, but they didn't question it. A/N. Yes, it is the main opening theme of Digimon Seasons 1 to 3. Shogun Gekomon and the others waved their hands. No, said one of the Gekomon choir members. This is the first time we've sang to an audience. The creature spoke with an obvious lisp, but continued. We are honored to have humans, much less Digimon tamers, enjoy our singing. We will sing one more song, the rest of the Gekomon chorused. Shogun Gekomon looked at his choir with anime tears flowing like waterfalls from his eyes. A/N. Think Guy and Lee when they cry. I'm so proud of you all, he bellowed before smiling and waving his hands in the air to provide the timing for the song. All right, and to close this off we have this final song. It may sound sad, But it is the best ending song we got, Shogun Gekomon said with a smirk and winked to the group of tamers and their partners. However, just as they were about to start, there was bright flash of pink light as a data stream passed through the lake, parting the water. The Digimon and tamers watched in awe as they saw 8 figures falling from the beam and into the water before the beam vanished. The lake water flowed back into the space that was no longer filled when the data beam parted it. The group of Gekomon, Shogun Gekomon, Takato, Henry, Jerry and their partners all blinked when they saw the water begin to bubble. Suddenly out of the water burst Naruto, Rika, Kazu, Kenta, Doraemon, Gatomon, Rinamon and Ryutamon, all gasping for breath as they hadn't prepared to fall into freezing lake water. The 4 humans and 4 Digimon swam to the shore and climbed onto the sweet, dry land. Dear Kami, why did that thing drop us off in the middle of a fucking lake? Naruto cursed as he stood to his feet. He then turned around and helped the Digimon and Rika climb out while Kazu and Kenta had to climb out on their own. Geez, thanks for helping us out of the water, Kazu said sarcastically. Naruto smirked with a mischievous look in his eyes. You're welcome, thus earning a glare from both of them. And you are? Shogun Gekomon asked the newcoming tamers, humans and the Digimon. Oh, I'm Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. I'm a Digimon tamer. These are my partners. Doraemon, he gestured to the purple-furred dragon who nodded, and Gatomon the feline gave a wave and a smile causing most of the Gekomon to blush. This is Doraemon's friend, Ryutamon the second ex-antibody Digimon nodded with short bow, and this my girlfriend, or, Naruto blushed. Mate, as you guys might define it, the terminology used caused Rika to also blush while everyone else snickered, earning glares from the couple. Her partner, Rinamon the blonde Kitsune, nodded. And those 2 bakas are Kazu and Kenta. Oh, I resent that remark, Kazu and Kenta yelled. Shogun Gekomon nodded with a serious look. So, Takato-san, the goggle-wearing tamer looked up at the giant toad Digimon. Hi, he asked. Are you friends with these tamers and their Digimon and those 2 bakas? He asked, pointing at them. Kazu and Kenta fumed, but kept silent, not wanting to anger a Digimon that could easily step on them and turn them into literal pancakes. Hi, they are my friends. The response earned a smile from the large Digimon, who then turned to his choir. Before they began, though, Naruto had used the evaporation jutsu to dry everyone's clothes. Then the final song began. Okay guys, it's dark and these humans and their Digimon are probably tired, so let's give them a song to make them sleepy, Shogun Gekomon said. A chorus of "Hi" was heard. The trumpets then began to play a sad-sounding tune, but it still sounded nice. The tamers yawned out of tiredness as they laid against the trunks of the nearby trees or against their backpacks to use as pillows. Full Metal Alchemist Opening 5 Rain. Yado Mitsukita Adarashi Asa wa, Tsukihai Jie Jama Wasuru, Makao Saki wa Tsugi ja Nakut, Sugi Bakery Oikakita, Naria Mana Yusha Nai Omotatachi wa, Yurishai Kursu Nai Mo Nai, Soro Soro Ka na Tesuguri Tsukurita Hoho wa, Katu Jie Kobor Okairu, Inwa Itsuka Yama Node Ho Ka, Zoban Nagai Ida Tsumatai, Inwa Daoshai Boku wa Arabu no, Tsutsumari Tu Ka na, Inwa Yamakoto Wishiratsu Nai. QMO Furitsuka Kurido, Sato Sashidashida Kasa no Nakada, Nukumari Ni Yoris Nagara. The song ended, and by that time, the song had already put all of the humans and Digimon to sleep. Well guys, that's all for today. Let's go home and rest our voices with some nice milk and honey, the leader of the Gekomon said. Hooray, milk and honey! And with that, the Gekomon and Shogun Gekomon left the so-called swamp and headed back to their home. Digital World Gekomon Swamp. Light time. The group yawned as they awoke from their sleep. Ah, that was a nice rest. Kazu yawned as stood to his feet to stretch. The others followed suit and stretched their tight muscles due to lack of movement while they were sleeping. Yeah, it was. But Naruto twisted his body and head, causing everyone to hear the cracks that his neck and back made and making them wince. Those trees are not comfortable. If I wasn't completely asleep, I would have moved. Those Gekomon do make nice music though, Henry said. That they do, Terriermon responded to Henry's comment, to which everyone nodded in agreement. So, what should we do? Kenta asked, adjusting his glasses. By the way, how long have we been in the digital world for? Naruto looked at his watch. Well, time passes slower in the digital world, but in terms of the real world, we have been here for. Naruto's eyes widened. We've been here for nearly an entire week. Nani? Everyone gasped. But it seemed to be less than that. And besides, it's only been 2 days here, Jerry stated. Well, that's the way things work in the digital world, Leomon told his tamer before looking around, his eyes narrowing and his ears flicking back and forth. Mateo, I think I heard something. The group was previously talking, but was now completely silent. The bushes to the left of them rustled, and suddenly there were sounds of fighting as twigs snapped, leaves flew out of the nearby forest, and suddenly there was a grunt of pain as a silver and black blue flew out of the trees, knocking a few of them down on the way out of the depths of the trees. What the hell was that? Doraemon exclaimed, looking at where the silver and black blur had flown past them. The group looked to see a humanoid-looking Digimon encased in what seemed to be a metal armor of some sort, but his organic parts such as its lower face, one of its arms and part of its thigh and lower leg. Who's that Digimon? Jerry asked. It's Endermon, Kazu said in awe. He's one of my favorite Digimon of all time and his signature attack is Lightning Blade. Endermon roared in a deep voice indicating he was male, stood to his feet. His right hand rotated at high speeds, turning into a makeshift drill. The hand hummed with power as electric blue-colored energy formed around it. Endermon swung his arm and an arc of blue flew into the trees and an explosion erupted from the forest as the attack made contact with the forest foliage and whatever Endermon was aiming at, because there was a scream of pain. A/N. I know a lot of Digimon are appearing to be male, but it's not my fault. Blame the Digimon creators, they made most of them like that. I'm not sexist. There was silence as everyone stared at the forest, readying themselves to fight, except for Kazu, Kenta and Jerry, who hid behind Leomon. There was a loud hiss that made the hairs on the back of Naruto's neck stand on edge. His eyes flashed crimson as he and Kyubi knew the sound well. Hebe/Snake, Kyubi said to his Jinchuriki. No shit, Sherlock, Naruto growled to his Bija. A pair of glowing yellow eyes appeared in the darkness of the forest before 7 more pairs of eyes appeared, their golden glows illuminating the darkness before the beast lashed out, heading for Endermon alone. Don't attack, Leomon ordered. It's only after Endermon. But we can't just abandon the guy, Kazu said. This is not our fight, and we can't take any unnecessary actions, the Beast King growled to the visor-wearing preteen. Kazu gritted his teeth as he saw what seemed to be a giant 8-headed snake attack the android Digimon. Let's see what that thing is, Naruto said, taking out the bronze-colored Democrat Arkansas that was Gadamon's. The holographic image of a large serpent with 1 organic head and 7 robotic ones appeared on the screen of the bronze-colored Democrat Arkansas. Orokamon, ultimate level. It is gigantic and possesses 8 heads, though 7 of them are dummies, and the black one in the middle is the only real one. Attacks are Inferno Blast and Aim no Murakumon, Naruto read. Inferno Blast. The giant snake hissed before its real head unleashed a large blast of white flames. Endermon held up his arms in defense before taking the attack head-on. Endermon was shown to be struggling to hold off the giant snake. How dare such a foul beast attack a brave knight such as myself? As the Iron Knight, I, Endermon, shall make haste to rid the digital world of a piece of vermin such as you, Orokamon. Everyone's sweat dropped as Endermon spoke in a language that only people in the Middle Ages spoke, the olden King's English. What a moron. That is so cool, Kazu said as he saw Endermon jump into the air after leaping through the alcoholic flames of Orokamon, and then slamming a powerful kick to one of its dummy heads. However, the other 5 dummies lashed out and bit on Endermon's limbs before one took him and threw him away, slamming into a tree. Then Orokamon's tail came crashing down upon Endermon's downed form and putting the Digimon into even more pain. Endermon groaned before glowing with a yellow light and reverted into his champion form, which looked far more robotic. The robot's armor was rust red and he also possessed jet packs on his back. He probably took a lot of damage before he arrived here. He de-digivolved into Gardraman, Kazu said, running up to the unconscious android Digimon. It was then, however, that the Gekomon and Shogun Gekomon had chosen to come and practice their singing. La la la. La. What the fuck? The amphibious Digimon cried out in alarm at seeing the large 8-headed serpent. Kyuso the Tamers cursed. The Gekomon are here. Quick, we gotta protect them, Naruto ordered, having seen Orokamon's head turn. The snake hissed before opening his original mouth and showing the alcohol streams that filled his mouth before the alcohol began to burn and turn into pale white flames. Fist of the Beast King. Leomon let loose a powerful fiery fist that took the shape of a lion's head. The attack struck Orokamon's original head in the chin, stopping the attack. Are you okay? Kazu asked. I am fine, child, but... Gardraman grunted in pain as he tried to stand, but Kazu stopped him. No, you're not. You need to stay down or you'll hurt yourself even more, Kazu said with concern for the Digimon. Gardraman seemed to chuckle at Kazu's emotions. I see. Well then, I guess I cannot obey your command. Human T robotic Digimon stood before pushing Kazu behind him and then holding up his iron hard arms to block an incoming swinging tail from Orokamon. However, I will not let Orokamon harm such an innocent bystander, much less a child. Kazu looked in awe as Gardraman pushed the tail aside. Gardraman, no, don't fight. The visor-wearing preteen shouted, but his words fell on deaf audio responders because Gardraman jumped away and into the heat of the battle. Guardian Barrage! Gardaman opened fire as two literally whistling missiles flew through the air and impacted with one of Orochimon's dummy heads, but barely did any damage. Hyper Dash Metal, Lightning Paw, Doraemon and Gataman struck home as they impaled one of the dummy heads and killed it, thus leaving Orochimon with only 6 dummy heads in his original. Leomon drew his blade and jumped to the side as another dummy head tried to crash down on him, but instead got a mouthful of dirt. Leomon then gave a roar before slicing through the metallic serpent head, thus beheading it, and leaving only 5 dummy heads remaining. Inferno Blast. The original head of Orochimon let loose the white alcoholic flames, causing everyone to get slightly woozy from the scent, seeing as how the scent of alcohol emanating from the white fire was so strong. However, Gardaman, being a machine, had not been affected and crashed a powerful right hook to one of Orochimon's dummy heads, leaving a noticeable dent before spinning and performing a roundhouse kick, utterly destroying the entire right side of the dummy head. "You will pay, insolent little worm," Orochimon hissed before wrapping his tail around Gardaman and then slamming him repeatedly into the ground before dragging him along the ground. Gardaman grunted in pain, trying to stop his movement by digging his fingers into the dirt, but to no avail. Orochimon then threw Gardaman into the air. "Batter up the large," Serpent said before swinging his tail like a baseball bat and slamming it into Gardaman's side, sending the robotic Digimon spiraling through the air and into the dirt. "Dude, I told you, stop," Kazu said, running up to the android champion level. Gardaman sighed in defeat. "You don't understand. It is against my nature. I am supposed to guard the digital world from fiends such as Orochimon. I am the Iron Knight. I don't have to do this alone." "I'll help you," Kazu said with a smirk. Gardaman looked in shock at Kazu's willingness to help him, even without supernatural abilities. "Well then, partner, I guess I will listen to you," Gardaman said. Then a light appeared and Kazu saw a small little bubble appear out of Gardaman's body. He grabbed the bubble and in his hands was a purple Democrat Arkansas. Kazu looked in shock before looking with the surprised look that was seen in Gardaman's eyes. "I'm your tamer?" Kazu said as he slid a blue card out from behind the purple Democrat Arkansas. "It appears so. What is your name?" "Kazu, Shiota Kazu." "Well then, Kazu, help me fight," Gardaman said, standing to his feet. The two watched as the other tamers fought back with all they had, but Orochimon managed to hold them off due to his many heads and the drowsiness that was caused by the alcohol-laden flames of the Serpent Digimon's Inferno Blast. Inferno Blast. The large snake breathed the white flames which were headed towards a downed Henry and Terriermon, who were too drunk to be able to avoid the attack. "Kyuso," the two cursed. "Henry!" The others yelled, but fell to their knees as in their attempt to help Henry, the effects of the white flames began to take their toll on them as well. Their eyes widened, however, as they heard a familiar voice shout out something they never would have expected. "Digimodify. Wardryman's Brave Shield activate." Kazu swiped the card through his new Democrat Arkansas. Gardaman quickly flew through the air using the jet-like thrusters on his back to propel him in front of Henry and Terriermon before a large yellow shield with the crest of courage emblazoned on the front in orange formed in Gardaman's hands and deflected the fiery attack. "What the, Kazu?" the others exclaimed. Kenta watched from the bushes in surprise as his friend was shown to be using a Democrat Arkansas. Unknown to everyone, because of the Tamers fighting, the Gekomon choir and Shogun Gekomon had long since left the battlefield and went to go and practice their songs somewhere else. Kenta looked with wide eyes at the purple Democrat Arkansas in his best friend's hand. "So even Kazu is a tamer, but what about me?" the glasses-wearing boy thought with a frown. "You guys okay?" the visor-wearing tamer asked. "Kazu, you're a..." Naruto blinked as he couldn't finish his sentence. "Yeah, I know, it came as a surprise to me too. I mean, I'm a tamer now, woohoo." Kazu yelled in excitement before taking out the emergency Digimon cards that he always kept in his pocket, but stopped when Naruto called out to him. "Kazu, here, finish it in one shot," Naruto yelled. Even though he was disoriented from the Inferno Blast attack, he managed to throw the card he wanted to give Kazu directly at the new tamer. Kazu looked in surprise as he caught it before flipping it over. Kazu's eyes widened before smirking. "Arigato, Naruto." Naruto nodded before Kazu held his Democrat Arkansas in his hands and swiped the card. "Digimodify, Omniman's Supreme Cannon!" Kazu yelled. Gardaman held out his left arm and suddenly in flash of blue light, the arm transformed into the shape of Metal Garurumon's head. The mouth of the Metal Garurumon head opened to reveal a large cannon within its jaws. "No way am I letting you win, machine!" Orochimon hissed before striking out with his heads. Gardaman smirked before readying the cannon. "Supreme Cannon!" The android Digimon yelled before a large ice blue beam of energy flew forth from the cannon and took down each one of the metallic dummy heads until only Orochimon's original head remained. "Insolent machine, Inferno Blast!" The large torrent of white flames ejected from the ultimate level Digimon's mouth with such speed and power, Gardraman was barely given enough time to fire the cannon. Supreme Cannon! Gardraman fired the cannon, and the icy blue beam collided with the blast of white-hot flames. The two attacks pushed against each other, fighting for dominance. The two Digimon putting more power into their attacks. Kazu then drew a card and swiped it. Digimodify, Power Activate. Gardraman glowed with a red aura before the aura flowed into the Supreme Cannon, and the beam suddenly expanded in size and began to push back the Inferno Blast. No, it's not. Orochimaru tried to push more power into his attack, but he was already at his maximum possible. Gardraman gave a yell of exertion before the blast cut straight through the flames, and Orochimaru's golden eyes widened in shock as his attack was nullified, and the last thing he saw was a flash of blue light. The Supreme Cannon's laser shot straight through the Serpent's mouth before expanding in size and blowing off the Digimon's entire head. The body of the ultimate level Digimon stood still before toppling to the ground and vanishing as flakes of red data. Gardraman's body gave off a loud groan before the android Digimon fell to his knees. Gardraman, you okay? Kazu asked. Gardraman nodded his metallic head. Yeah, just a bit. Another groan escaped Gardraman's body before the Digimon's eyes vanished as he fell unconscious. Gardraman! Kazu yelled, whacking his Digimon's head like someone would a computer when it freezes. Don't worry, Kazurika said, getting up with help from Rinamon. He's probably just exhausted and powered down from using so much energy. Kazu was still looking worried, but then realized he was still holding Naruto's card. Oh, Naruto, arigato. Here's your card back, the visor-wearing preteen said, handing the card back to Naruto. But the blonde shook his head. Nah, you keep it. I have two more. That one is the second one I found. Naruto proved his point by pulling out two of the Supreme Cannon cards from his card case. Sugi Kenta said, looking at Kazu. Dude, you're a tamer now. Hi, Kazu said with a large grin plastered on his face. Well, what's wrong? Kenta sighed as he glanced around the surrounding group. Well, you guys all have Digimon partners. And now I think I'm just gonna be dead weight now. Naruto placed a hand on the younger boy. Kenta, you were dead weight before you began thinking this, the blonde said, earning stifled chuckles from the others. But in order to save the boy any further humiliation, Rika elbowed the Jinchuriki in his ribs. Itai, Rika-chan, that hurt, Naruto said with a whining tone. Rika gave her boyfriend a glare and pointed to Kenta. The group looked at the glasses-wearing boy who was looking downcast. Don't worry, buddy, you'll get your chance, Takato said. Maybe not, Henry said. But then noticed the looks he was getting. Oh right. Goemon not helping much with that comment. Anyways, come on, we gotta continue heading south, Leomon said. Ryutaman, how far from this area is the southern palace? Gataman asked. Ryutaman sniffed the air. His green eyes seemed to scan the area in front of them. Well, it seems that we are only a few days away, but there are too many breaks in between. At this rate it will take us maybe a week or more to reach Tsukiyaman's palace, the orange-furred dragon said. Really, that long? Doraemon asked his fellow ex-antibody Digimon, earning a nod from his friend. Well then, we better get a move on, Naruto said as Doraemon climbed onto his back and Gataman jumping atop his head. The group then set out, heading south for the Sovereign of the South, and in hopes of finding their friend. Don't worry, Caluman, we'll find you, and bring you home, the shinobi tamer thought. Digital World Dark Prison. Lusmon watched as the group continued to trek through the digital world's many areas in search of the Sovereign's dwelling. Excellent. It is almost time for my plan to unfold, the fallen angel Digimon said to himself, staring hungrily into the image of the group of tamers, their partners, and Kenta. Lusmon then made a few movements with his hands, and suddenly the image of the group split into the 5 different images. The chosen 5 that will result in my freedom, Lusmon smirked. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, the first, he said, staring at the blonde's image before shifting his gaze to the second one. Doraemon, the second. The third image showed the image of the samurai armor-wearing dragon, and the second existing ex-antibody Digimon. Ryutaman, the third. Then the fourth image of the bipedal lion Digimon appeared in the eyes of the fallen angel. Leomon, the fourth, and finally the fifth image shown in the orb was our favorite bread-loving, crimson-scaled, dinosaur-like Digimon. And finally, Gilman the fifth. You 5 shall grant me the power to escape my wretched prison and once again give me the chance to take over the digital world. And with that, I shall destroy the sovereigns and Fanglongmen, and then I shall take over the real world as my trophy. Lusmon let out an evil laugh before passing his hands over the images of his chosen 5 before the image of the Phoenix Sovereign's lair appeared. And now, for the catalyst that will trigger the reaction and release me. Digital World Southern Quadrant. Zokuyaman's lair. Upon his throne of flames, the Phoenix Digimon sat. His 4 eyes closed as he contemplated his next move. My lord, Zukiyaman-sama, Lusmon spoke to the fiery Digimon. The 4 golden eyes that seemed to burn like the flames on his throne snapped open upon hearing the voice of his most trusted advisor. "Ah, young advisor, what brings you to contact me once more? Although Makuramon is lacking in returning the catalyst." Wait, hold that thought. The large bird of flames turned to see Makuramon, riding atop Majraman and entering his abode. As Makuramon touched the floor, the dragon Deva nodded to his superior lord, who nodded back, before turning and taking to the skies. "My lord, I've finally got the little cream puff," the monkey Deva said with a smirk, and then knelt to the sovereign. Kalyaman was unconscious, but alive, and this pleased the sovereign. "Excellent work, my servant. Now hand me the catalyst." Zukuyaman extended on of his black feet. Makuramon's eyes widened at seeing the long, sharp talons that nearly threatened to rip his face. The monkey Deva handed Kalyaman to Zukuyaman before bowing once more. "You may leave." "Hi, Zukuyaman-sama." Makuramon nodded before running out of the room. The Sovereign of Flames then let out a loud screech that tore open a rip in the digital space-time continuum, and also awoke Kalyaman. Zukuyaman then flew through the portal that led to a dark cavern that held nothing but a small pedestal which looked like a crystal of some sort should be placed. "What the, giant bird!" Kalyaman exclaimed and struggled to get free. Now, my friend. You are the catalyst and a necessary element in our survival," Zukuyaman said. "I'm no catalyst, I'm Kalyaman and I'm a Digimon like all you. Now let me go!" The cream-puffed Digimon yelled in surprising anger. The upside-down triangle on his forehead glowed, but it was too late for anything to happen as the Sovereign of the South placed the catalyst onto the pedestal. Suddenly, the pedestal grew walls of crimson energy, and the dark cavern was filled with a bright crimson light before turning to a soft, crystal blue. "You shall once again help us become stronger, Kalyaman. Farewell." The large bird flew back through his portal before releasing another ear-splitting shriek, and the portal closed. Kalyaman's ears shrunk as he looked around the glowing blue cavern. "Great, now I'm lonely." Back in Zukuyaman's lair. "Yes, you were saying." Zukuyaman spoke through his thoughts as he resumed the previously interrupted conversation with Lusman. Yes, any more interruptions?" Lusman asked. "None." "Good, because I need you to help a little friend of mine." "Who?" the Phoenix Digimon asked. "You know him quite well, the little imp Digimon, Impmon." "Oh yes, the little purple rookie Digimon." "Yes, I remember him. What do you need me to do?" Zukuyaman asked. "Well, I need you to warp digivolve him. You see, the little rookie craves power. Power to be the strongest of them all, so I think you should give him that power. With it, he could rid the digital world of the humans that have invaded the digital world." "Nanny, the Tamers, and their partners, they found a way through to the digital world?" Zukuyaman asked. "Oh yes, so give the little imp his power, and they'll be out of hair, feathers, for good," Lusman responded. Zukuyaman tapped his claw on the ground below his fiery throne. Well, with the catalyst, the process of forcing Digivolution should be an easier task." "Very well," Zukuyaman said, proving the use of thinking his words to be too annoying for his tastes. "Very well," Lusman said, "I shall leave it up to you." The connection between the two became severed before the Sovereign flapped his large, fire-colored wings, and then a tornado of flame emerged from the ground. The fires dispersed to reveal the seemingly hypnotized Impmon. "You called for me," Zukuyaman-sama, Impmon said, bowing to the great Digimon, unknown to both that the digital hazard sign became visible in a deep purple color. Impmon's green eyes became a lighter shade, but this went unnoticed by the Sovereign Digimon. "Come to me, young Impmon." The rookie level walked forward before Zukuyaman's wings stretched out and the tip of his feathers touched Impmon's forehead. "I give to you the power of Digivolution," the bird screeched. In the cavern, Kalyaman screamed in pain as he felt his forehead feel as if it were being burned. A red light, mixed with light shades of black and violet, flew from Kalyaman's forehead as the inverted zero unit glowed. Impmon growled in pain before falling to his knees. His form glowed crimson as the light of Digivolution began to affect his being. Zukuyaman looked in awe as Impmon's form pulsed rapidly before a dark feel washed over the Sovereign. "What is this dark power?" Zukuyaman said to himself. Impmon's head then snapped upwards, eyes glowing emerald in color as the power of Digivolution filled him. Yes, YESSSSS. Lusman cried out in excitement as he watched the scene from his prison. Impmon dark warp Digivolve 2. Impmon's form grew taller as the red energy became dotted with flecks of dark violet and black until the energy created a large shockwave and revealing his new form. Impmon grew from a short 3 feet to a whopping 10 feet tall. His face became more humanoid and a bird-like mask of a violet material covered the top half of his face. Platinum blonde-colored hair spiked out in the back. He wore clothes similar to a biker's outfit. He wore a tight muscle shirt, entirely black that showed his newly formed muscle and its definition. He wore a long-sleeved leather jacket over the t-shirt and had a red bandana similar to the one around his neck, except without the smiley face, wrapped around his left bicep. A pair of leather pants were also worn. The knees had some kind of knee pad. A pair of leather, steel-toed boots were worn on his feet. 3 spikes jutted out of the steel-toed area. The boots reached up below the knees of Impman's new form. Attached to his left boot was a pair of shotguns made of chrome digits. Finally, to complete the look, a scaly tail made entirely of steel stretched out from his tailbone and formed a hole in his new leather jeans. The tail lashed out and created a crack in the ground from where it landed due to the weight and force it held. His eyes changed from emerald green to blood red, but the MO9ST drastic change was when his began to grunt in exertion before his shoulder blades began to bulge before forming a pair of large wings coated with ebony feathers. Beelzemon, dear Goldemon, what have I done? The Phoenix Digimon thought as Beelzemon left the palace and took to the skies. Chapter 20. Rescuing the Light. Point 3. The group walked through the forest of the digital world and found themselves in an area that contained a large lake. Let's take a break. I'm getting thirsty, Kazu said. Come on, Gardraman. The metallic android looked perplexed at his tamer's lack of knowledge. Kazu, although you are my tamer and I must do as you say, do you not know that water reacts hazardously with my iron-like exterior and can cause me to rust? Kazu paused in his drinking, having already reached the lake's edge, and turned to his Digimon, and sweat dropped. No, I did not think of that. Causing the other tamers and Kenta to laugh at their friend before they themselves decided to get a drink as well. After pausing for a drink, Naruto's ears twitched. Do you guys hear that? The blonde asked. Everyone became silent as they tried to hone in on whatever it was Naruto had heard. No, not really? Kazu and Kenta said before they were interrupted by a flying pink object landing near the side edge of the lake. Then 2 more creatures, obviously of the same Digimon species, seeing as how they looked alike in terms of structure, but oddly not in color. Kazu decided to be the first to use his new purple-colored Democrat Arkansas. At last, my first Digimon skin, the visor-wearing tamer said with glee. The image of the pink-colored Digimon appeared first. It appeared similar to that of a pixie, only without legs, and had a more serpentine appearance. It had 2 pink, feathered wings growing out of its back, 2 short antennae and 2 flipper-like arms. On its chest area was a red mark that looked akin to a heart, and around its neck was a golden ring with Digi code written around its circumference that translated to Digital Monster. Large green eyes appeared on the holographic image of the Digimon. Marine Angemon, puny for a Mega-level Digimon. Although they are called Angemon, they bear no resemblance or digital code similarities to the Patamon Digivolution line and tend to be related to the Gomamon. Attacks are Kahuna Wave and Smile Attack? Everyone's sweat dropped at the last attack. Smile Attack? That's what it says? Kazu replied. Never mind that, what are those other Digimon? Henry asked. Okay. The holographic image of the 2 dragon-looking Digimon appeared at the same time on the Kazu's Democrat Arkansas screen. The dragon Digimon were rather muscular, and from looking at them, they looked only about 2 feet shorter than Leomon. A pair of crimson horns grew out of their head and nose areas, as similarly colored spines went down their backs. A pair of torn-looking wings were mostly able to give the dragon Digimon the gift of flight. In their mouths were sharp teeth, and sharp claws were on their hands and feet as well. A pair of red-colored eyes seemed to glow within their sockets. The only difference between their appearances was that one dragon was blue and the other was green. Cordamone Blue and Cordamone Green. They are both champion-level Digimon. The blue Cordamone assimilate a large amount of blue diamante, a rare precious gem located deep within the mountainous regions of the digital world, as a form of food, but also go out to hunt other Digimon in order to add variety to their diet. Now the green Cordamone are similar to their blue brethren, except they assimilate green malachite, a rare gem found deep within the bowels of forested areas. Their flying abilities are adequate, but not nearly as good as the blue Cordamone, but their legs are much more powerful and hence have a higher level of speed. Cordamone Blue's attack is Blue Flare Breath and Cordamone Green's attack is Green Flare Breath. Kazu read before pocketing his Democrat Arkansas. Cordamone, are you sure? Renamon asked Kazu. Yeah, that's what my Democrat Arkansas said, Kazu said with a perplexed look on his face. Why? Because Cordamone are said to be legendary in terms of strength. Hell, there have been tales where even an ultimate-level Digimon had trouble taking on only one Cordamone, the blonde Kitsune. Kenta looked around and noticed that Cordamone Blue was looking at them, while Cordamone Green was stalking towards the tiny Marine Angemon. Don't worry, little guy, I'll help you, Kenta thought. Marine Angemon, being a Digimon of love and peace, was able to read the aura of people and tell their intentions. Marine Angeman looked to see Kenta running towards her. This creature has a pure heart. But I am an unknown Digimon to him. Why help me? Marine Angeman thought. Kodomon Green growled and began to use his powerful leg muscles to reach the small mega-level Digimon. Kenta, what the hell? Naruto yelled, before channeling chakra into his legs and taking off at speeds that left a large cloud of dust in his place. Naruto then leaped and performed a flying kick and struck the green Kodomon in its face, and sending the emerald-scaled dragon into a tree as Kenta, after getting over his initial surprise at seeing Naruto kick a Digimon that nearly would have killed him, quickly grabbed Marine Angeman and joined the rest of the group. Hey little guy, you okay? Kenta asked. The green-eyed mega-level Digimon nodded, surprise etched all over her face. Hi, arigato. Oh, Gomen, I'm Kitagawa Kenta. I'm a human from the real world, Kenta said, adjusting his glasses. Marine Angeman was about to respond when she heard the sound of bestial roars. The green Kodomon had recovered from that swift kick to the head from Naruto, and Kodomon Blue had joined his green brother in the fight. Both dragons stared at the blonde shinobi that dared to attack them. You dare to attack a Kodomon, foolish creature. You do not look like any Digimon we have seen before, Kodomon Blue said in a feminine tone, indicating that this Digimon was female. Ignore what they are or what they aren't. They interrupted our hunt, and they must perish, Kodomon Green said in a gruff male voice. The two dragon Digimon nodded to one another before charging Naruto. However, what confused them was how that as they rushed him, Naruto made no move whatsoever to counter or dodge. Naruto's eyes were closed as if he were meditating, not paying attention to the world around him. However, just as the green and blue dragons neared him, his eyes snapped open, crimson in color with slitted pupils. Arigato Kyubi. No problem, Kit, I got your back. Naruto then used his heightened reflexes and strength to direct a slash from Kodomon Blue, sending the sapphire-scaled reptile to the dirt, while managing to twist his body to avoid a bite from Kodomon Green, and then slamming his Yukai-enhanced fist into his cheek. The emerald-scaled dragon skidding along the ground before managing to right himself, and then ran towards Naruto at speeds that only Naruto could keep up with. Naruto then met Kodomon Green in a fierce taijutsu battle. The green dragon released a swift kick with his left leg which Naruto blocked using his forearm, but although he recovered quickly, even with the regenerative abilities of his Yukai-filled system and enhanced endurance, the force of the kick was still felt. Naruto managed to contain his surprise at how powerful the kicking strength of this Digimon was. Reminds me of bushy brows, the blonde thought as the image of the green beast of Konoha filled his vision before he returned to the fight and ducked under a sweeping kick aimed for his head. Naruto then sprang up, gaining momentum from his knees and using it to propel himself upwards and slam a powerful uppercut to the dragon's chin, sending his head reeling back. Kodomon Green recovered and blocked a punch from Naruto, and then swung the blonde away. But Naruto flipped in the air and landed deftly on his feet. Green flare breath. The emerald-scaled Digimon roared before unleashing a powerful blast of green flames from his jaws. Naruto quickly looked at the lake next to him and flashed through hand signs. Suetun, use a no tate, he yelled. Water from the nearby lake swirled to life before turning into a whirlpool, and then the whirlpool made its way in front of Naruto and blocked the attack from Kodomon Green. Steam formed as flame and water connected. Naruto used the steam as a cover and jumped through before hitting Kodomon Green in the face with an unexpected spinning kick. However, Naruto was barely aware of an approaching figure from behind and managed to kick off of Kodomon Green's chest and backflip over the speeding sapphire bullet that was Kodomon Blue. Naruto landed on the ground as he saw both dragons crash into the ground since Kodomon Blue couldn't stop due to his momentum. Kodomon Blue recovered first and rocketed towards Naruto once taking flight. The larger of the two dragons sped towards Naruto, who charged a Rasengan in his hand. Sensing the power in that attack, Kodomon Blue opened her jaws and released a blast of blue flames. Blue flare breath. The jet of blue flames raced across the land, burning the grass and leaving a trail of scorched black earth and blue embers. Rasengan! Naruto slammed the blue ball of chakra and clashed with the fire blast, and Naruto struggled to overcome the powerful attack. Strong little buggers, these guys are, the blonde thought through gritted teeth before channeling more chakra into his attack and managed a stalemate, causing him to skid backwards. However, Kodomon Green had recovered and managed to appear behind Naruto using his incredible speed and slammed a powerful kick to Naruto's back that would have broken the spine of a normal man. But Naruto was no normal man. The green reptile then kicked Naruto while he was down, sending the blonde skyward. Get him! Blue Kodomon Green yelled to his blue sister. I gotcha, Kodomon Blue said with a chuckle before taking to the skies, spreading her wings. The others watched in horror as Naruto was accompanied by Cordamone Blue in the sky before the sapphire-scaled Digimon performed a front flip and slammed her tail onto Naruto's chest, sending him careening towards the ground. Naruto gritted his teeth and managed to right himself in the air, but forgot that once he hit the ground there was other Digimon waiting for him as Cordamone Green ran towards him and using his powerful legs struck out with a vicious kick that caused Naruto's ribs to release a cracking sound before he was sent into a tree. Cordamone Blue then appeared next to Naruto and grabbed the blonde before throwing him across the field, and had the blonde eating dirt before the dragon unleashed blue flames from his jaws once more. Blue flare breath. Metal shoot! Doraemon quickly appeared in front of his tamer and fired multiple spheres of steel that burst through the flames and impacted with Cordamone Blue, sending the female dragon into the ground from the multiple impacts before Gatomon surged forth with a devastating Nico kick to Cordamone Green's side, sending him into a tree, creating a noticeable crack in the thick trunk. Naruto! The other yelled before turning to the Cordamone duo. Let's get him, Takato said, but everyone was halted as Naruto got up with a determined look in his eyes. No! The whisker-cheeked blonde roared, this is my fight. But Naruto-kun, you're getting your ass handed to you, Rika cried out. No offense. None taken, he replied, shaking his head, but I haven't had an interesting fight with just me fighting a Digimon one-on-one. Or two-on-one. Naruto cracked his neck and back as he felt his ribs being repaired by Kyuubi's Yukai. Naruto then decided to be on the offensive now. Prepare for your defeat. Bring it. Whatever you are, the Cordamone duo replied. Naruto then formed a cross-shaped hand sign and a Kagebunshin appeared next to him. The two dragons' eyes widened in surprise at seeing a carbon copy of the creature they were fighting appear next to him. Naruto and his clone rushed the two Cordamone, who quickly got over their surprise and rushed Naruto and his clone. As the four combatants neared each other, Naruto and his Kagebunshin nodded to each other before dropping to the ground and skidded between the legs of their opponents, and jumped up as they got behind them. What the? The dragons were halted in their exclamation as a fist slammed into each of their faces, sending them back. Naruto then threw his Kagebunshin at Cordamone Blue before leaping at Cordamone Green himself. A devastating kick connected with the stomachs of both Digimon and knocked the wind out of their lungs as an added bonus. Naruto and his clone then began to work in unison, performing attacks in simultaneous movement. They quickly jumped and spun, performing a spinning kick to the side of the Cordamons' faces before dropping and using a roundhouse kick that connected with the sides of their bodies. The Cordamone released roars of pain as Naruto and his clone performed handsigs and then slammed their hands on the ground. Doton, Duken no Jutsu! They yelled, and suddenly two fists of earth rose from the ground and connected with the Cordamons' stomachs. Naruto and his clone then ran towards the dragon Digimon and channeled chakra into every single one of their muscles to increase their strength and speed to insane levels, since Kyuubi's Yukai was already flowing through their beings. The two blondes performed a powerful uppercut to their respective Cordamones, sending both skyward before performing a back flip in midair that allowed a kick to connect with their chins, sending Cordamone Green and Cordamone Blue higher into the air. The two Narutos landed on the ground before leaping high into the air to meet their opponents, and then performed a front flip and slammed twin axe kicks that impacted with Cordamone Blue and Cordamone Green's skulls. The two dragons landed in the lake with a large splash that caused a large amount of water to rise into the air before both Naruto and his clone landed atop the water surface and gave each other smirks. "Nice job," Naruto told his clone, who nodded before disappearing in a plume of white smoke. The two dragons gasped for breath as they resurfaced and then swam to shore. As they climbed out, Naruto had used Shunshin to appear in front of them with two kunai, one held to each of their throats. Whoa, dude, what's the big deal?" Cordamone Blue asked. "Yeah, we were just trying to get some dinner," Cordamone Green said. Doraemon and Gatomon walked up next to their tamer. "Dinner?" the group asked in shock. "Well, yeah. Sure, we eat the blue diamante and green malachite, but we need to eat something else too, you know," Cordamone Green said. "By the way, what kind of creatures are you?" Cordamone Blue asked. "I prefer the term human rather than creature," Naruto said, smirking at their surprise. "Humans?" they exclaimed. The group then walked up to Naruto, who had already become fully healed as Kyuubi had already set to work once they had won. "So you mean, you guys are tamers and Digimon partners?" Cordamone Green asked. This earned a nod from the entire group. "Well, all of us except for, hey guys, I'm a tamer now." Everyone turned to see Kenta running towards them with Marine Angeman and a rose-colored Democrat Arkansas. "What the how?" Henry gaped like the rest of the group. "Well, Marine Angeman said thank you for saving him, and in return she made me her tamer now. Isn't that cool? And she's a mega-level Digimon." Kenta stuck his tongue out at the others. "Huh, well, isn't that a coincidence?" Takato asked Gilman. I'll say the red-scaled dinosaur replied. Anyways, I'm Cordamone Green, and I'm Cordamone Blue. But you can just call us Green and Blue, the two dragon Digimon said simultaneously. So anyways, back to the question. You all are really tamers? The group nodded in confirmation at the duo's question. Green and Blue looked at each other before a serious look crossed their faces. Well, actually, I don't have a tamer. I'm just a guide to help them reach a place where they want to go, Ryudaman said, hiding the information about wanting to go and see Zukiaman's palace. I see. Well then, we were sent to look for creatures similar to the one we met because he said he wanted to talk with you. Really, another human? Jerry exclaimed, voicing everyone's thoughts. Hi, follow us and we shall lead you to him. Both Cordamone then took flight and flew off as the rest of the group followed on foot, with Rio. Desolation Claw. Cyberdragon roared before unleashing the green data erasing energy from his claws. The humanoid dragon cleaved the Akakuman he was just fighting in half before absorbing its data. That's number 121, Rio said, having kept count of how many Digimon they had been fighting. We must go and find the blonde tamer now. I wish to fight him and show my increased strength. Rio smirked. I say we go. Rio climbed atop Cyberdragon's back and noted. Rio then took out his Democrat Arkansas and the compass application appeared and showed the entire quadrant of the southern area on the DR's holographic projector. There were many red blips that represented Digimon, but in a certain area, there were a few green blips that represented the Democrat Arkansas electronic signatures. Alright, they are quite far away, in the northeastern direction, but with your speed we could reach them in no time. Excellent. The large ultimate level Digimon took to the skies and headed off in the direction that led towards their rival. I'm coming for you, Naruto, and soon, Rika will be mine, with Beelzeman. The mega-level Digimon walked through the desert, panting in hunger. Data. I need data, the winged Digimon gasped before spotting a large swarm of Karamon, the virus Digimon. Beelzeman grinned, saliva released from his mouth before he ran towards his meal. Double impact. Beelzeman drew his 2 shotguns and fired. 2 bullets fired from each gun and then a few Karamon were shot down from those 4 bullets. Seeing some their own die in a single attack, the Karamon turned only to see one of the 7 deadly Sin Digimon apparacking them. It's a Beelzeman, run! The Karamon scrambled trying to escape, but Beelzeman used his newfound power to slaughter the entire swarm, shooting them all down in a few shots of his shotguns. After the killing, there was a large cloud of red data flakes. I love the smell of raw data in the morning, and the dark Digivolved Digimon absorbed their data. Delicious, he commented before a faint mechanical sound was heard in the distance. Beelzeman turned to see a small dust cloud in the distance. Then the light reflected to show the object to be a red and chrome motorcycle. The motorcycle neared Beelzeman and intended to run him over, but Beelzeman simply held out his hands and prepared to tackle the behemoth head-on. The possessed motorcycle raced towards Beelzeman before the behemoth crashed into Beelzeman. Beelzeman held on as he felt the behemoth push him back from the force they collided with, but the raven-winged Digimon smirked before twisting the behemoth and slamming it on the ground. You know, you're a nice ride, Beelzeman said to the crimson/chrome machine earning a large vroom from the vehicle. Beelzeman then saw a small metal ball sitting in the rider's seat. Beelzeman held down the behemoth with one hand before yanking the metal ball off, revealing it to be a Metal Corpsman. Huh! What happened? Metal Corpsman asked before he met the gaze of the red-eyed Digimon. Metal Corpsman quickly jumped away from Beelzeman and hopped away. Beelzeman blinked before looking at the behemoth and sat in the driver's seat. The behemoth released a loud roar from its engine and began to ride, its consciousness trying to overpower Beelzeman's. However, Beelzeman simply smirked before taking a good grip on the handlebars of the motorcycle and then performed a wheelie. You think that you can overpower the great Beelzeman? Well, think again, you piece of junk, Beelzeman laughed as he took control of the behemoth, and then rode off into the distance. You're mine now. The motorcycle didn't respond with anything, but merely a roar of its engine as it respected its newest rider. The chosen rider for the behemoth was Beelzeman. Beelzeman sniffed the air as he sensed the data of a group of Digimon a good distance away, a few hours at most. Well, seems I have a new meal. The mega-level Digimon performed a wheelie using his newest mode of transportation and rode off, in the direction of where the Tamers were. With the Tamers, Ryudaman and the Cordamone walked through the forested area and reunited themselves with the desert landscape. Oh great, more desert! The Tamers and their partners groaned. Ryudaman, Blue and Green turned to look at them with confused looks. What's wrong with the desert? They asked. Well, for one, it's hot, it's dry, and it goes on for fucking ever, Dormon retorted. The 3 non-tamer Digimon looked at each other. Well, quit your whining and come on. He is waiting for you, Blue said before she and her green brother began to fly faster and causing the others to break into a fast-paced run. After running for a while, the group came to a great rocky area with large mountains of rock. The Gekomon twins quickly flew upwards and went into a cave near the top of a nearby cliff. "Well, come on," Green shouted down to them before he and his sister entered the cave. Rika, Henry, Naruto, and Takato all channeled chakra into their feet. Naruto then picked up Doraemon and Gatomon while Rika handled Ryudaman. Leomon drew his blade and wedged it into the cliff wall and began to climb with Jerry and Kenta on his shoulders. Gardraman, being equipped with rocket thrusters, flew up with marine engine to the top and waited as the others climbed the wall of rock. Upon reaching the top, Kazu was busy looking around the cave and saw it filled with sparkling metals. They seemed similar to the precious gems and metals found on Earth, yet they seemed different. "You slowpokes up yet?" Green yelled. Yeah, hold your horses," Rika yelled back to the two dragon Digimon. The group then began to walk through the cave. The shining of the gems on the walls of the cave provided sufficient illumination in the darkness. "So blue?" Rika asked. "Yes? What are these sparkling things on the rock walls of this cave?" the red-haired Tamer asked. Green and Blue smirked at each other before looking back at the Tamers and Ryudaman. "Those are raw pieces of pure chrome Digimon metal. The hardest metal in the digital world," Blue replied. The Digimon looked in shock, but continued walking. "Chrome Digist? As in, like Wargreymann's brave shield, Chrome Digist?" Takato asked. "The very same, although there are many different forms of Digist metal in the digital world. There's regular chrome, there's gold, blue, red, and there is even black Digist. However, there is said to be a legendary or that outclasses every single type of chrome Digist," Green said as they made a turn to the left. "And what is that?" Gatomon asked. "It's only a myth, but it is said to be called Huanlong Mor. The only Digimon to ever possess such a metal is Fanglaman, a god of the digital world and ruler over all four of the Digim sovereigns," Green said. Naruto and Doraemon looked at each other upon the mentioning of the dragon of the center. "Yeah, a myth," the two mumbled with a smirk as they, along with the three original Tamers and their partners, knew the truth. Fanglaman was as real as any other Digimon in the digital world. The rest of the journey through the cave of chrome Digist ores was a silent one before they reached a dead end. However, upon reaching the dead end, both Gekomon told the group to stand back. Blue flare breath, green flare breath. Tongues of blue and green flame expelled themselves from the mouths of Gekomon Blue and Gekomon Green. The combined flames caused the dead end to glow with the colors of the attacks. The Gekomon twins stopped as the rock began to continue to glow with the colors of the flames. "This dead end can only be opened by us Gekomon, and was a safety made by the human who resides in this cave. It was by chance. My brother and I came here to look for some blue diamante for me to eat," Blue said as the rock moved aside by some unknown force, and then revealed its depths to the newcomers. Upon entering, everyone could only gape in awe at what was on the other side. A large library, books with the spines labeled in Digicode so they didn't know what the titles of the books were. The room was similar to the inside of a lecture room in a university. A black board was up in front along with a desk. On that desk was a phantasmal image of a person. "Is that a person?" Takato asked, squinting to make sure he was looking at it right. "It seems to be. Yo Shibumi!" Green yelled. The phantasm stirred before raising its head to reveal the face of a man. He was wearing a blue t-shirt and long black pants. His skin was slightly pale, and he had golden brown hair that reached just above his shoulders. His eyes were a dark brown, and he had a beard stretching from a mustache and covered his entire jaw area except for his lips. "Ah, Blue, Green. Did you find them?" The ghostly image, identified as Shibumi, asked. "Yup, the Tamers are right here," Blue said, gesturing to the group of children and their Digimon partners. Ryudaman was busy looking around the area before he spotted the ghostly human-like figure. You're a human, aren't you?" Ryudaman asked, walking up to the desk. The orange-furred dragon hopped atop the desk's surface. The group followed and looked from behind Ryudaman. "Anyone else thinking that this guy looks like Jesus?" Kazu asked. "You know, now that you mention it, he does kind of look like him," Henry said. "So Shibumi, what did you need these gakis for anyway?" Green asked. "I need to tell them some important information." "You two can leave now if you want," Shibumi said. "All right, but remember to call us if you need anything. We're still your buddies, remember?" Blue said. Shibumi chuckled. "I know, I will take you up on that offer soon," the ghost said. The two dragons left through the rocky entrance, and allowed to the rock to seal the entrance behind them. The group then turned back to look at the ghost of a man. "So are you really a ghost?" Naruto asked, looking at the faint green glow that surrounded the image of the man, as well as the fact that he was transparent. "In a way, yes. First off, let me introduce myself. I am Mizungoru, but my friends call me Shibumi." I was one of the original creators of the monster program, Shibumi said. The monster program? Henry asked. Henry, do you know what this monster program is? Takato asked. Well, sort of. Oto-san used to tell me of it back when I was younger. He said how back in his college days he and a group of friends had been experimenting with artificial lifeforms, but they were shut down at the peak of their creation due to lack of funds, Henry said. Shibumi nodded. That was exactly what happened. Your father is Wang Junyu, isn't he? Shibumi asked. Hi. I knew him. He was my roommate back in college, one of the original monster makers said with a smirk at the old memory. So Shibumi, how did you get into the digital world? Well, actually, I was doing a project at home in which by creating a distortion in the computer's digital world using the blue card program I would be able to make a portal between the digital world and the real world. Unfortunately it failed and I ended up in coma. Although I am aware of what is going on in the real world, I'm actually unconscious and still alive in a hospital in the central area of Shinjuku. However, my mind and spirit are here in the digital world. Mateo, you mentioned a blue card. Do you mean these? Naruto said, taking out the rectangular-shaped card. The pixelated Digimon along with the capital D on the front made Shibumi realize that it was in fact his card. How did you get those? Shibumi asked. Well, they are there when we become Tamers, Naruto explained as he also took out his 2 D-arcs. The bronze one for Gatomon and the reddish-violet one for Doraemon. Sug. So the Digivolution project was successful in a way, Shibumi said. Digivolution project? The Tamers and Digimon asked, tilting their heads to the side in confusion. Hi. After Digimon became such a large worldwide franchise, we began to develop more types of media such as the television series, the games, and now we were focusing on creating a handheld game that we would call the Digivolution, which is short for digital device. It was supposed to be similar to the Tamagotchi game except with Digimon, in which you can choose one of many Digimon to be your chosen Digimon and train them using the handheld device. Kind of like the Game Boy from Nintendo infused with the Tamagotchi, Shibumi explained. A/N. I do not own any of these things, and by things I mean Nintendo, Pokemon, Tamagotchi, etc. I see, but these are different, Takato said. They bring the ability cards from the Digimon card game to life. So if we slash a card through the side area here, the abilities the card has are transferred to our Digimon. I see. So you can really say it is a dream come true for you all, Shibumi said, sighing. The Tamers nodded. Well then I must explain to you the principle of the digital world. You see, the digital world is comprised entirely of data, but that is only the half of it. You see, during the creation of the monster program, you could say that it was our dreams that fueled its creation, and its being was comprised of data. In a sense, the digital world and all Digimon are in fact the result of data and the dreams of humans becoming one, Shibumi said, putting his hands together to make a visual representation of the fusion. Well, Gilman was originally a drawing, and then I scanned his picture through my Democrat Arkansas, and suddenly his DG egg was there, Takato said, explaining the result of Gilman's being. See, now there is a prime example. You see, my boy, your Digimon was originally a drawing, but your dreams allowed to be real. That and these guys here, Shibumi said, pointing above. Everyone looked up to see nothing, but then a small glow of golden light illuminated the area and suddenly there were small fairy-looking things. Are these Digimon? Leomon asked. I haven't seen Digimon like these in my life. That is because they are not Digimon. These are the predecessors of the Digimon, the Diginomes. They were apparently the original monsters that we made. However, it seems that they are capable of bringing dreams to life. As shown with Gilman, the act of bringing your dream Digimon into reality is an example of the holy powers these little guys contain. Shibumi watched as the Diginome flew around his head. So they can bring anyone's dreams to life? Kazu asked as he leaned up against Gardraman. Oh yes, but they have a conscience and are capable of choosing the people whose dreams are worthy of being real, Shibumi told the visor-wearing Tamer. Well, now that we have established that, what is this important information you wanted to tell us about earlier? Naruto asked. Shibumi nodded. Okay, well, you see, during the time of the Diginomes, this was back when computers were in high demand. Everyone had a computer all over the world and was when the internet had reared its head. During that time, the first CVPP was made. CVPP? Doraemon asked. Computer Virus Protection Program, the bearded man answered before continuing. The CVPP was set up and was a big success and was also upgraded over the years. It was known as the Reaper because it ate any data that exceeded its original limit. Unfortunately, it saw the Diginomes as such and destroyed nearly all of them. The Diginomes above suddenly had frowns upon their faces as they remembered the dark wave of red and black that swept over the digital world. The Digimon were then created and as such began to evolve on their own. However, I began to think of a way in which the Digimon should be able to bypass that boundary so that the Reaper wouldn't be able to harm them. In a sense, I created the first mega-level Digimon using an algorithm that you all now hold in your hands, the blue card, Shibumi said. As you may have noticed, the Digimon are based off of nearly all things that reside in the real world. The Sovereigns are based off of the myth of the four Guardians of the Earth. The Devas are based off of the original Devas from ancient Chinese religion, and so on and so forth. So after doing so, I failed to realize that the Reaper was able to evolve itself as well and began to try and destroy the Digimon. However, like I said, the Digimon were able to bypass the boundaries so the Reaper couldn't harm them and were able to fight back the vaccine program, and thus it was put into a dormant state, and probably hidden deep within the digital world's crust. So this Reaper nearly destroyed all the Digimon? Henry asked. Precisely. But upon further research, I have found out that the Reaper is about to rear its ugly head once more. I don't know when, and judging from the information, you cannot stop the Reaper in its advanced state because even in its dormancy it was still able to evolve, and I think the original Digimon, even the Digimon gods, can stop it, Shibumi said with a frown. So you need us to stop it? Well, you guys are Tamers. Tamers, and in you realized, children in general, they are somehow able to bond with Digimon as you have done and unlock their true potential. Digimon love children. You make us sound like pedophiles, going after children, Terriermon said with an angry look. Terriermon, that's rude, Henry said. But he does. Who agrees with me? The Digimon in the room did find themselves sounding like pedophiles the way Shibumi described it, and then turned to glare at the ghost-like man. Shibumi's sweat dropped. I did not mean it like that when I said Digimon love children. You know what I mean, the bearded monster maker said. The Digimon nodded, knowing his meaning, but still disliked the terms he used. Anyways, like I was saying, if you guys can find the location of the Reaper and hold it back, you might be able to save the digital world, Shibumi said. The group looked at each other and seemed to contemplate their place in this Reaper situation. So if we find the D-Reaper? Takato started. Everyone looked at him. D-Reaper. It was just called the Reaper, Kenta informed the goggle-wearing Tamer. Well, it's a digital Reaper, so D-Reaper for short, and besides, you gotta admit, D-Reaper is a lot more catchy than just Reaper, Takato said with a shrug. The others looked at each other with a sweat drop, but they did admit D-Reaper was more catchy. Well, okay, so as I was saying, we find the D-Reaper, destroy it, and we all go home happy. Takato continued his question. Shibumi shrugged and nodded. That's pretty much the gist of it, Shibumi said. However, he looked perplexed as a Digignome appeared in front of him, floating above the wooden desk. The Tamers, their partners, and Ryudaman all watched in awe as the Digignome became a cloud of mist in front of Shibumi's face. The group then went into Shibumi's side of the desk, crowding around the ghostly form of the monster creator, as they saw three images flash on the made-up screen that was the Digignome. One showed the image of a large green dragon with antlers on its head flying through the air. Then the second showed the image of a brown-haired boy riding atop a black four-winged humanoid dragon. The final image was of a humanoid-looking Digimon wearing a purple bird mask riding a red and chrome-colored motorcycle. The image then showed the three, well technically four, figures coming from three different directions and were about to converge near the area where they were currently in, since the image looked like it was being taken from the sky. Kyuso, it's Majraman. Leomon growled. He is one of the remaining Devas, the lion Digimon informed the others. And there's real riding Cyberdragon. Kazu and Kenta exclaimed, pointing at the tiny black dot. And, we have no idea who that guy is. But he seems to be riding. No way he's riding the behemoth, Ryudaman said, his green eyes widening along with everyone else's. Let me see that. Naruto shoved Ryudaman out of the way, causing the little orange-furred dragon to be met with the hard wooden floor of the hidden library of digital knowledge that belonged to Shibumi's ghost. Ugh, the pain. So much pain, Ryudaman whispered to himself as Doraemon helped his best friend off the ground. Naruto then looked as the Digignome made the image appear large by magically zooming in with its godly powers. That is certainly an odd-looking Digimon, Henry said, watching the motorcycle-riding digital monster heading their way. Let me take a scan of it, Naruto said, taking out Doraemon's reddish-violet Democrat Arkansas and scanned the image of Beelzeman. The holographic image of Beelzeman appeared on Naruto's Democrat Arkansas screen. Okay, here we go. Beelzeman, Mega Level. It is one of the 7 demon lords of the digital world and represents the sin of greed. It can destroy just about anything with its shotguns that fire bullets at high speeds. Its signature attack is double impact. Naruto read, pocketing the Democrat Arkansas. Beelzeman? Takato asked. Hi, and from the Diarch's description, he is really powerful and we should get out of here, Doraemon said before turning to the phantasmal image of the monster creator. Do you have a back way, a secret exit or something of that sort? The purple-furred dragon asked. Shibumi nodded before turning to a Digignome. The golden being nodded before floating over to a red book and pulling it out. It's always the red book, the Tamers thought. The bookcase on the far right suddenly ejected itself out and slid to the side to reveal a dark pathway. But luckily the pathway was illuminated with torches. Go through that way and you should be able to avoid them and any unnecessary confrontation, Shibumi said. The others nodded. Arigato for the information on the D-Reaper as well for helping us, the blonde shinobi, Tamer said. Shibumi nodded. The monster creator gave a small wave as he saw the bookshelf realign itself with the others and thus concealing the secret exit once more. However, Shibumi suddenly felt a pull on his form. Kyuso, I'm being pulled back, no. Not yet, Shibumi grunted in effort as he tried to keep his spirit and mind within the confines of the digital world. However, he failed and his glowing phantasmal form vanished into nothing. Real World Central Shinjuku Hospital, Room 334. Shibumi's eyes snapped wide open as he felt the rush of his soul being returned to his body. No. Kyuso the bearded man let a few curses fly out of his mouth. He removed the apparatus that allowed him to breathe properly and got off the bed. Shibumi looked around and looked at the black leather chair in the corner. He looked to see an envelope along with a pair of brown pants, socks, brown leather shoes, a white shirt and a brown overcoat. Shibumi walked over to the chair and picked up the envelope. He opened it and revealed the folded white piece of paper inside. Dear Monster Maker Shibumi, I am someone who knows of your true identity and the role you played in making the Digimon. Come to West Shinjuku and meet in front of the Twin Towers, the Hypnos Towers there. We shall explain everything that is going on there. Come with the black card that is inside the envelope as your identification. Your old friends will be waiting for you there. Also, there are some fresh clothes for you. We hope for your arrival. Anonymous. Shibumi looked inside the envelope once more and spotted the black card and yanked it out. He looked it over. It looked like a regular card about the size of a credit card and had the name Hypnos printed out in bright yellow on it. Shibumi then looked at himself and found he was in a hospital gown. I guess these clothes should come in handy now. Shibumi undressed, placing the envelope, letter and card down on the bed before changing into the new clothes that were presented to him. Not too shabby, the Jesus look-alike stated to himself as he looked himself over before taking up the envelope and its former contents and stuffing them in his jacket pocket. Guess I'm going to West Shinjuku, the man thought before leaving the hospital. Shinjuku Park. Yamaki and Johnny were sitting on a park bench watching little Suzie Wong play on the jungle gym. Be careful, sweetie, the glasses-wearing man said before turning to Yamaki. It seems so quiet without those kids here, Yamaki said, fighting off Digimon. Well, I wouldn't know. My son told me his secret about a week ago, Jonyu said, looking up at the sky. Yamaki sighed. So anyways, I managed to find your old friend, Yamaki said. I gave him a letter and told him to meet up at the Hypnos Towers. Really? Jonyu exclaimed. You found Shibumi. Even after all these years, you managed to find the guy. He was difficult to find. Don't think it was just type his name in Google and you'd find him, Yamaki said, earning a few laughs from both men. However, unknown to them, Suzie had stopped playing and was standing at the top of the slide looking at the sky as she saw a Digi gnome appear. Oh, pretty little Feiwi. Oh, to-san, look a Feiwi, she called out. Jonyu and Yamaki stopped talking and looked to see a golden light suddenly appear in the sky. Unknown to them, it was the Digi gnome, before it became a beam that engulfed Suzie. Suzie! Both men ran towards her, but Yamaki had been running to stop Jonyu. Jonyu, don't be stupid. We don't know what could happen if we go into that light. Let go. She's my daughter, she's too young to be taken away from me. Suzie! Jonyu cried out to his youngest child as she floated up towards the gaping mouth of the digital portal. Its data-lined rim looked welcoming to the eye, but to those that knew better, well, let's just say they didn't see it as so inviting. Oh, to-san? Suzie watched from above as she floated into the swirling digital portal that had formed. Suzie disappeared and Jonyu fell to his knees. There must be a reason why she was chosen. After all, life has a funny way of creating your destiny, Yamaki said, trying to console the computer hacker. Jonyu beat his fist on the hard dirt, and tears fell like raindrops from his eyes. Be careful, Suzie. Please come back safe, he managed to speak through his grief. Digital World Southern Quadrant. Zukiaman's palace grounds. The swirling portal opened and little Suzie Wong fell onto a hard rock. Hitai, she said, rubbing her painting backside. She got up and looked around. The earth was a dark black mixed with shades of dark purple and gray. Stray patches of dry grass were scattered throughout the land. The sky was filled with black clouds, similar to ash clouds from a volcano. The sky was shown to be entirely red in the area she was in as the black clouds floated through the vast red expanse of sky. Suzie heard a noise to her right and looked to see a bird-looking creature. It had brown feathers covering its entire body, as well as its long legs and feet. 3 sharp claws formed on each foot, and it had 2 hands, just a pair of small wings that were disproportionate to its body, thus it wouldn't be able to fly. Its head was like that of a skull and was colored gray. Its long beak protruded like Pinocchio's nose when he lied, at least that the simile Suzie was thinking of when she saw the bird's head. It had sharp, green eyes that were filled with hunger as it looked at Suzie. A mane of green hair stuck out of the back of its mask-like head. This was a Kiwimon, champion-level Digimon, and was an omnivorous bird Digimon that feasted on both plants and meat. "Huel birdie," Suzie said with an innocent smile. "Wanna play?" The Kiwimon simply stared at Suzie before walking towards her before releasing a menacing screech. Suzie stepped back in fear as the bird neared her, but then Kiwimon and Suzie both stopped whatever they were doing as they heard loud stomping sounds. Both human and Digimon turned to see what looked like a giant bunny rabbit. "Oh, bunny wabbit!" Suzie exclaimed, and the 6-year-old clapped her hands in joy. Kiwimon's eyes widened before he sped away using his strong legs. The rabbit continued to walk, its foot steeping over Suzie's small form. "Huo!" Suzie called out. The giant rabbit stopped and turned around, allowing Suzie to get a good look at it. The rabbit was extremely tall, about 30 feet tall, approximately. It wore a type of armor that was pearly white and lined with gold, around its neck that covered its chest area. A purple scarf was also worn around the rabbit Digimon's neck. It wore a red shirt that was skin-tight and showed a very muscular abdominal area. A pair of purple pants and similarly colored shoes were worn as well. Its arms were quite long enough that its fingertips ended just past the knees. A pair of white shoulder pads lined with gold were worn on its shoulders. There were white patterns on its arms and its forehead, and most of its face was white as well. 3 small horns jutted out its head in a triangular position. Its ears were tipped with a pink color and large orange eyes looked down upon the little human. Hello?" the giant rabbit said. "Do you want to play?" Suzie asked. The large rabbit looked confused. "Play?" The gargantuan bunny bent down to, well, it couldn't bend down to Suzie's level, but it crouched down. "Listen, little thing," the rabbit poked Suzie, causing her to giggle. "I can't play, I'm busy." "Nanny?" Suzie exclaimed. "Why?" "Because I have to. Now run along, you little whatever you are, and go home," the large rabbit said. "But I don't even know how I got here," Suzie told the rabbit Digimon. The large rabbit looked with silence at the sad-looking girl. She looked downright pitiful. Then the large bunny's eyes widened when Suzie looked at her. Her irises suddenly grew to large sizes, well, large for a creature of her size. "But what the? Please, can I at least come with you, Mr. Bunny Wabbit? That's Mississippi Bunny Wabbit to you, and besides, I can't drag a gaki like you around this place. Now run along." Suzie's puppy dog eyes intensified, and the large rabbit Digimon began to sweat drop as she suddenly felt her will beginning to crumble. "What's going on?" she whispered to herself. "Losing will, can't contain feeling to say no. Oh dear Goldramon, what is happening to me? Please?" The rabbit Digimon's will finally crumbled. "All right, fine," she spoke with a sigh. Just don't do that thingy again. It's creepy and very dangerous." "You mean this?" She performed the puppy dog eyes again, causing the rabbit to back off a bit. "Hi, don't ever do that again," the large rabbit told Suzie. The 6-year-old girl nodded before the rabbit picked Suzie up and placed her on her head. "All right, Gaki, let's go," and the large bunny rabbit, walked off with Henry's little sister to who knows where. Digital World Southern Quadrant. With the Tamers and Ryutamen, the group ran through the lighted pathway as fast as they could. About 3 minutes had passed as they raced along the rocky gray pathway. It had begun to steepen in terms of its gradient, and as such they began to speed up due to gravity. I see a light up ahead," Kazu yelled as he was in the front of the group. "Great!" the others exclaimed. After a few more seconds of running through the dimly lit secret exit, they finally made it through and gasped in exhaustion after running for so long. Naruto reached into his backpack and took out a few energy bars for the others. "Here, you guys, we had been running non-stop in there. You should eat these." Naruto handed the energy bars out, and watched as they nodded their thanks, and then quickly scarfed down the 5-inch-long bar of carbohydrates and glucose. The group then looked around before nodding to each other. "The coast looks clear," Gataman stated before she looked to Ryutaman. "Which way should we go?" "Well, we've obviously been taken off track due to this mishap and are probably farther away or by some sheer luck closer to Zukuyaman's hideout." Ryutaman weighed the options. He then face-palmed. "Shit, I just remembered I could smell." Ryutaman cursed before sniffing the air. After a few seconds of sniffing, the thick scent of smoke and fire hit his nostrils, causing his green eyes to widen. The Exanate-bodied Digimon pointed to the left, that way, and then took off, running on all fours. The group followed after the orange-furred dragon Digimon. About nearly a half an hour had passed after running, and the group finally decided to take a break. I've gasped, never run so much in my life, Jerry gasped as Leomon patted her back to help her catch her breath. Same cough here, Kazu and Kenta said before the three looked to see Naruto, Takato, Henry and Rika looked only slightly out of breath. We're more fit than you, Rika said, answering the unasked question. The three nodded before turning back and coughing their last bit of dust out of their lungs and inhaled a fresh batch of air into their lungs. Alright, Ikuzo, we have to hurry. We're nearly to Zukuyemon's palace, Ryutaman said before turning back in the direction they were heading in. However, before the group even took one step, a black blue landed from the sky in front of them, kicking up a small cloud of dust and sand from the sandy ground. The cloud cleared and everyone looked to see a familiar face. Akiyama, Ryo, Naruto growled, his eyes turning crimson. Rika looked at her ex-boyfriend with the same intensity as her current boyfriend. The brown-haired boy jumped off of Cyberdragon and looked at the group. So I see there are more of you? Ryo asked. Takato got stars in his eyes while Henry looked surprised as they spotted the legendary Tamer. Takato was a bigger fan and ran up to Ryo and reached into his backpack, moving aside the bread to pull out his small little notepad that he used for drawing and a pen. Here, can I have your autograph, Mr. Digimon King? Takato said, holding out the pad and pen. Ryo smirked and quickly signed Takato's pad, causing the boy to run off squealing like a little girl who had just gotten a pony for her birthday. Now then, why are you all glaring at Ryo? Takato asked as he looked at Naruto, Rika, Kazu and Kenta as well, their partners. Of course Marine Angeman and Gardraman had no idea who this was. But if their tamers didn't like this Ryo guy, then they didn't either. What do you want, Akiyama? Naruto growled. Ryo glared at Naruto's now crimson eyes. I want to fight you. Rika-chan is my girl and should be with me? You cheated on me while we were dating, you team. Rika roared, the betrayal now evident in her grayish-violet eyes as she looked at the so-called legendary tamer. You left me for some little gothic, blonde bitch. The image of the girl Ryo cheated on her with, though it was only her back, formed in Rika's mind's eye and increased her anger tenfold. Takato and the others who hadn't been present at the first encounter with Ryo in the cloud area all looked shocked at what they just heard before looking at Ryo with looks that ranged from anger to pity. I can explain, Ryo said as he backpedaled, trying to think of an explanation. No, there is no need to explain. The blonde Shinbe took a step forward, the other including Ryo took steps back from the shinobi as Kyuubi, in an effort to get Naruto to slaughter the boy who emotionally scarred his Jinchuriki's mate, allowed Naruto use of his yukai, and an aura of red yukai surrounded the sapphire eyes boy. You dared to do something like this to Rika-chan, to one of my nakama/comrades, and now, you will pay with your life. Cyberdragon quickly took a step towards Naruto as his tamer went back. I will defeat you, human! Cyberdragon roared before his claws glowed green with data erasing energy. And since they were in the digital world, that meant that they were all data as well, so if Naruto was hit with that he could be gone forever. Of course, we can have that. Can we? The green energy formed extensions of Cyberdragon's claws before he slashed the air. Desolation Claw. The green arcs of data erasing energy shot forth towards Naruto. Naruto growled before taking a deep breath. Roar! Naruto released a bestial roar that mixed with his own voice and released a pulse of yukai that completely wiped out Cyberdragon's attack. Naruto then sped off and crashed his elbow into Cyberdragon's solar plexus, sending the air out of the Digimon's lungs. Naruto then removed his elbow and spun, crashing a hard right heel against Cyberdragon's ribs, earning a satisfying crunch. Cyberdragon skidded sideways, but Naruto was relentless as he appeared beneath Cyberdragon and crashed a powerful uppercut against the dragon Digimon's chin. Naruto then jumped back and formed his favorite hand sign, Kagebunshin no Jutsu, the blonde Jinchuriki said in a mixture of his and Kyuubi's voices. 5 clones puffed into existence. The Narutos then ran around Cyberdragon and took their various positions, and Ryo watched in complete and utter amazement, fear and shock as his partner was taken down. One clone ran forth and punched Cyberdragon with enough force to send the 4-winged dragon flying back. The original Naruto and one of his clones then jumped and used the clone that punched Cyberdragon as a springboard, sending him skyward. Ki, 3 clones that were ready behind the dragon Digimon got down on one hand and leg and released a devastating, simultaneous triple kick to Cyberdragon's head. Cyberdragon went up and Naruto and his clone flipped downwards to meet the dragon before 2 powerful axe kicks came crashing down on Cyberdragon. Naruto Renden/Naruto Uzumaki Barrage. Naruto and his clone roared before landing on the ground after Cyberdragon. The ultimate level Digimon had fallen unconscious from the attacks. Naruto then looked at Ryo, who was beyond scared, and way past the point of scared to death, and that was an understatement. However, before Naruto could take down his hated enemy, a loud roar echoed from the sky. Everyone turned their heads to the digital world's clouds and saw an emerald-scaled serpent descend from the heavens. Majiraman, ultimate level. One of the Devas and a follower of Azulonman. He does not do anything unless he benefits from it in some manner. His attack is the treasure arrow, which fires 1,000 simultaneous arrow of light from his mouth. Takato read from his red-colored Democrat Arkansas before pocketing it. Naruto growled as Majiraman slammed on the ground, creating a large earthquake from his impact. "You are the human that Tsukuyomin fears?" Majiraman asked, looking at Naruto. "Don't bother with me now," Deva the red-cloaked blonde hissed, baring his fangs. Majiraman chuckled. "Tsukuyomin promised me power if I destroy you," the dragon Deva said as he remembered the reason why he needed to destroy such a weak specimen of life. "Now die, treasure arrow." Majiraman opened his jaws and his beard and claws began to glow with a holy golden light. The light was then released up into the heavens before there was a bright flash. All of a sudden, 1,000 arrows of light came raining down, all of them aimed right for Naruto. Their paths straight and true. Doraemon's eyes widened as he felt the power of the Kyuubi increase his powers, but the dark feeling that came with it also seeped into his Digicore. Gatomon, however, unable to use the Kyuubi's powers, began to feel excruciating pain and fell to the ground. "Ah!" The feline screamed in pain. She looked to Doraemon and gasped, her eyes widening as she saw that the once soft burnt orange eyes now mixed with an evil red color. His fur taking on highlights of red as well. "No!" Doraemon ran towards his Tamer as both Tamer and partner's anger increased. Naruto's anger was from seeing Ryo and Cyberdragon as well as having Majiraman ruin the final blow, while Doraemon's was anger towards the Dragon Deva for attacking his Tamer. Doraemon Dark Digivolve 2. Doraemon grew in size, to the same size as his regular champion form, Dirugimon, except a dark red and black aura surrounded the rookie's growing form. Doraemon's eyes became more fiery looking and then he took on a metallic look. The black fur of Dirugimon became a solid navy blue color, and then suddenly became coated with metal, mainly around his head in the form of a helmet. His tail became covered in steel and then the tips split off to look like 3 live wires. Sparks of electricity flew from the tips of the wires. Yellow teeth and red claws held the wand to rip apart any enemy. The demonic red eyes of the dark Digivolution glowed within their sockets, similar to that of a monster's. The dragon let out a roar as it spoke its name. Dexterugimon! Dexterugimon had never been seen since the fight with Mihiraman, but even then and now, his appearance still sent shivers down everyone's spine. "Doraemon, what happened to you?" Ryudaman looked at his childhood friend, now a draconic beast of darkness. The dark Digivolution of Doraemon roared before unleashing several balls of steel. Cannonball! The black spheres collided with a few of the arrows of light and destroyed them, but the numbers of the light arrow outnumbered that of the spheres created from the dark dragon Digimon's attack. Naruto growled as he swished his newly formed chakra tail. Naruto then formed hand signs he did not even know he knew, and then clapped his hands together. Yukaten, Tate no Kyuubi / demon style, shield of the 9 tails. Naruto roared before his single tail dug into the ground and then split off at the tip into 9 separate constructs. The 9 tails lashed out, lengthening and retracting at speeds that were too fast for the eye to keep up with before finally they converged into the single tail once more and released a pulse of red demonic chakra that stopped the entire assault of light arrows. Naruto and Dexterugimon growled at Majiraman, who watched in shock as his attack was stopped. "And a nanny?" Majiraman was too amazed to notice Dexterugimon take the chance to attack and flew up to Majiraman's skull. His right arm then became covered with a steely silver glow. The glow intensified until it rivaled that of the light arrows and finally caught Majiraman's attention, but he was too slow to react, for Dexterugimon had flown high up and reached Majiraman's joint between his neck and head. Metal cast! The dark dragon Digimon roared before unleashing the arm, and a silver light trailed behind Dexterugimon, emphasizing the fact that he was flying near Mach speeds, and then there was the sound of a blade slicing through flesh. The silver-covered arm tore through the digital flesh of the Dragon Deva, and it was so fast no had even known what happened until it happened. Dexterugimon flapped his large wings before releasing a roar, and as if on cue, the giant head of Majiraman suddenly grew a large slash mark, bleeding red flakes of data before falling from its perch and then vanishing into red flakes of data along with the rest of the Dragon Deva's body. Dexterugimon then landed next to the still cubified Naruto, who growled before turning to Ryo. Ryo looked in shock. Although Naruto was not one to kill, you must remember that anyone who had done anything harmful, emotionally, mentally or physically to any of his precious people, and they would pay with their lives. Naruto! Naruto and Digimon turned to see Gatomen writhing on the ground in pain. Her fur was no longer snow white, but dark red. Her eyes were wide open for all to see the pain in them, no longer crystal blue, but dark violet with a tinge of crimson. Ah! The feline Digimon screamed again. Naruto and Digimon looked in shock as they watched their partner and lover, respectively, filled with so much pain. Naruto and Digimon blinked, and their eyes returned to their regular color. Naruto's from crimson to sapphire and Digimon from red to burnt orange. The red cloak in the form of a one-tailed kitsune disappeared from Naruto's body and back into the seal, while Digimon glowed with a white light and shrunk back down into Doraemon. Gatomen! The two yelled in shock before watching as their friend stopped writhing in pain. The crimson fur became snow white, and her eyes returned to being a clear blue once more. Gato-chan, Gato-chan? Doraemon held Gatomen in his arms. Dorukuin, Naruto, are you yourselves again? She asked with a chuckle. Naruto and Doraemon looked at each other with a single tear falling from their eyes before turning back to Gatomen. Hi, we kinda went out of control when we saw Ryo and Majiramen, Naruto explained. Gatomen groaned as she rose to her feet. Well, I'm glad to see you both are alright, Gatomen said before Rika had wrapped her arms around Naruto. Don't ever lose yourself like that again. You might have done something you would have regret, Rika said. Naruto frowned and returned the embrace. Yeah, I know, the blonde looked out of the corner of his eye as Ryo bent down to check on Cyberdragon, who was badly injured. Naruto sighed before releasing Rika. However, the fun was not over, for after this little emotional episode, the group all listened as they tuned into the sound of an engine. Does that sound like anything mechanical to you guys? Kazu asked. Maybe it's just the ice cream man, Kenta said, earning glares from the others for his poor timing and choosing now to make a joke. No. It's Leomon squinted before his eyes widened as the image of the nearing vehicle. A glint of red and chrome crossed the lion Digimon's vision. It's Beelzebub. Everyone run! The bipedal lion roared, but it was too late because the motorcycle began to speed up as Beelzebub did a wheelie, and was only about a good 30 feet away from them. Then a shadow jumped off from the behemoth, and Beelzebub spread his raven-feathered wings and flew towards the group at speeds that left a trail of dust behind him. The motorcycle had turned and parked itself to await its master's return. Beelzebub watched the fleeing group of Tamer through red irises and smirked, licking his lips. Taking on a burst of newfound speed, he headed off the group, causing them all to skid to a stop and watch with fear, and a few brave souls decided to use a glare. The mega-level Digimon touched down in front of the fear-filled group. After all, how would you feel if a powerful Digimon with a menacing appearance and 2 guns in its hands appeared in front of you? Hee hee, you gakis are gonna be my next meal. Beelzebub licked his lips. Badboom. Everyone's, besides Leomon, Gardraman, Marine Angeman and Ryudaman, their eyes widened in shock as they recognized the tone of voice from the Digimon and recognized who it was immediately. Impman! They gasped. Impmon? The 4 Digimon looked at the others. Hi, he was a Digimon in the real world who left his tamer. However, he became a prankster and an annoying little gaki in the end, but he had some good in him, Naruto said. He watched as Beelzebub grinned. I am no longer the little prankster known as Impmon. I am the Demon Lord, Beelzebub. The mega-level Digimon flapped his ebony wings in a menacing way. Fist of the Beast King, Metal Shot, Diamond Storm, Pyro Sphere, Terrier Tornado, Guardian Barrage, A/N. Gatomen has no long-range attacks and Marine Angeman is just plain weak, even for a mega, so they wouldn't be able to attack. The 6 attacks rocketed towards the Demon Lord of Greed. The crimson-eyed Digimon smirked before raising his fists, and then rapidly punched every single one of the attacks. They were all destroyed, and everyone stared in shock at the show of power that Beelzebub had just performed. Beelzebub did a mocking bow as he whipped the ground with his tail, causing it to crack. Beelzebub then reached to his left boot and pulled out one of his shotguns. Now listen here, you little gakis and you Digibakas, you guys are now data. And as data, it means that I can now eat you and gain more power. Beelzebub smirked as he pointed his shotgun at the group. Now then, which one of you should go? The bird-masked Digimon asked himself. Naruto looked around and noticed the fear in everyone's eyes. He looked at his hands and found them to be uncontrollably shaking. Beelzebub? Naruto called out, catching the attention of the Demon Lord Digimon. What, gaki? I have more power than any of these people and the Digimon. Take me, and spare them all, the blonde said. Everyone's eyes widened. Nanny? Everyone yelled. You really think your pitiful human self can equal all of theirs? The winged Digimon asked until he felt a spike in power that equaled that of his own. Beelzeman's crimson eyes looked in shock as he felt the power was coming from Naruto himself, causing Beelzeman to smirk. Very well, I shall spare your little friends. In exchange for your life, Beelzeman pointed the gun at Naruto. Say your goodbyes. Naruto, you can't? Takato yelled. No, Naruto-kun, I won't let you. I will not let you die like this, Rika said with tears lining her eyes. Naruto chuckled and then turned to the group. I have had fun fighting Digimon with you guys, he said, looking over the group. Kazu, Kenta, take care of Doraemon and Gatomon for me, will you? The two newest Tamers could not make any sort of response as he said his goodbyes. You Digimon, in the short time we've known each other, I've come to see you all as friends and some as family. Arigato. Naruto then turned to the original three Tamers and plastered his foxy grin to hide his emotions. Takato, stay strong, Henry, keep that logical attitude up. You guys are going to need that to survive. Naruto then softened his gaze as he looked at Rika. Naruto quickly flashed through hand signs. Rika-chan, I love you, and with that Naruto charged chakra into his hands after finished the hand signs. He then punched the ground. Dotun, Doryakurasha no Jutsu / Earth style, Earth Dragon Crusher Jutsu, and the earth began to split, separating Naruto from the rest of the group as a large gorge formed between them. They were in too much shock at what Naruto was doing to even consider doing anything. Their minds felt as if they had shut down. Their leader was leaving them. Like this? Naruto smiled sadly at them before giving a small wave. Naruto turned to face Beelzeman and nodded. Naruto faced Beelzeman with a gaze as hard as chrome digits. This is a sad ending for you all, Naruto thought, his final words to the others, even though he knew they couldn't hear them. But I promised myself. Naruto looked as Beelzeman aimed the gun and pulled the piston back, the clicking sound being heard as he pointed the shotgun at Naruto's head. I promised myself that I would protect my precious people, all of you guys, even if it cost me my life, and it looks like I'll get to keep that promise. Naruto faced the barrel of the gun. The yells of his comrades to not do this fell on deaf ears before the blonde took a deep breath to await his death. And I know I will not be there to help you all through this, but I guess you'll have to get Calumet without me. Beelzeman laughed before pulling the trigger. Naruto's sapphire eyes looked back once more before he turned to face the shotgun. Gomen Nasai. Bang! Naruto. Chapter 21. Rescuing the Light. Point 4. The sound of the gunshot echoed through the air as others had to turn away so as not to witness the horrendous act that Beelzeman had just done. Doraemon, Gatomon and Rika were the only ones in tears, while the others were just looking down in shame, anger and regret about not doing anything to help their leader. Naruto's head snapped back from the force as the bullet impacted with his skull and sent him flying through the air for a few meters and then landing on the ground with a thud. His eyes closed and his body still, void of any movement. The others looked up with shock as they saw red flowing from the blonde's head. Most of them turned away, Rika, Doraemon and Gatomon being the only ones to stare in pure disgust, anger, sadness, and any other negative emotion as Beelzeman holstered his gun. The demon lord of gluttony grinned widely before he took off his leather jacket and peeled off his shirt to reveal his rather muscular, purple-skinned body. A/N. I made a mistake. Beelzeman is the sin of gluttony, not greed. My bad. Thank you to Delphine the Black Kitsune for pointing that out to me. You're a special one, so I will eat you in a special way. The mega-level Digimon chuckled before a dark circle formed where his belly button was located. The circle grew larger and larger until it became the size of 2 basketballs and thus was larger than his stomach in terms of width and length. Now be eaten! Beelzeman roared before a red and purple vortex of data swirled to life and began to suck in everything near Beelzeman, vanishing into the void of data. The Demon Lord Digimon laughed loudly as rocks, air and other materials were sucked into the vortex in his stomach. Naruto's still body began to move towards the twister of red and violet data, but was stopped as Doraemon and Gatomon jumped over the shinobi-made chasm and grabbed onto Naruto's arms before digging their claws into the ground to prevent any further movement. Beelzeman growled as he watched the 2 tamed Digimon hold on to their tamer, and thus depriving him of his awaited meal. I will eat him! The raven-winged Digimon howled as the vortex's suction power began to increase, and thus Doraemon and Gatomon, along with Naruto, were being dragged towards the vortex. Since the others would not have any way to prevent themselves from being sucked into the mass of swirling data, they were barely able to keep themselves stationary. Pyro Sphere! Gilman fired 3 spheres of fair red energy from his jaws, speeding towards the mega-level Digimon. Bunny Blast! Terriermon managed to launch the multiple green energy bullets as he hung into Henry's hair for dear life. Fist of the Beast King! While holding himself and Jerry stationary by stabbing his blade into the ground, the Lion Digimon managed to launch the orange-colored lion head from his hand. Guardian Barrage! Gardraman yelled as he fired a missile from his free-arm cannon. The missile whistled through the air towards Beelzeman. The 4 attacks went through the air, all aimed for Beelzeman's unprotected face, but the attack suddenly swirled into one before being taken into the violet and red data portal from Beelzeman's stomach. Nanny? Jerry, Takato and Henry exclaimed. That vortex stopped all of our attacks like they were nothing. Kazu yelled in shock. Quick, swipe a modification card and try to save them, Henry ordered. The others quickly responded and turned around in an attempt to keep their cards from being inhaled by Beelzeman's powers. I got it, Jerry yelled. Jerry quickly took out her yellow Democrat Arkansas and swiped the card, gripping it tightly to prevent it from being taken. Digimodify. Limb extension activate, the brown-haired girl yelled. Leomon roared as he thrust his arms forward and they began to extend beyond their limits, becoming rubbery, yet strong enough to be able to grab onto the 2 struggling Digimon who were gripping their tamer in the same manner of strength. Come on, Leomon, I know you can do it, Jerry encouraged her partner. I'm doing my best, Leomon grunted as he began to pull Gataman, Doraemon and the still body of Naruto. Gataman and Doraemon aided themselves and Leomon by gripping the lion Digimon as tightly as they could while holding on with only one hand/claw. However, no. My grip, it's slipping, Gataman screeched as she saw her yellow paw begin to lose its hold on the black t-shirt of Naruto. Grr. Mine. 2 Doraemon strained to retain his hold on their tamer. They tried their best, but to no avail as Naruto was set free on account of the Digimon losing their grips, and thus the blonde Jinchuriki, and sent hurtling into the dark void of data. Beelzeman laughed loudly as he felt the energy fill him upon Naruto's ingestion. The vortex calmed and the demon lord of gluttony gave a loud burp and patted his stomach. Delicious, he commented, and then put back on his shirt and jacket. Leomon had gripped Doraemon and Gataman, who were now in tears, close to his chest, trying to console the 2 young Digimon. The red-eyed demon lord licked his lips after a while and then turned to the group. Now then, who is next, Nanny? The others cried in shock. Leomon quickly turned his body in a feeble attempt to protect the 2 smaller Digimon. But you promised Naruto to leave us alone if he... Kazu paused as he saw Rika slump to her knees and began to bawl, her fingernails digging into the dirt before looking up at Beelzeman with anger and sadness. I will kill you! Rika ran towards the winged Digimon, but Renamon held her back. Rika struggled against her partner before her anger caused her to elbow her Digimon in the stomach, loosening her grip on Rika. The red-haired tamer roared as she flashed through hand signs while leaping over the chasm Naruto had made. Katan, Ryuka no Jutsu! She yelled, and then she took a deep breath before releasing blazing orange and yellow flames from her mouth. The fire rocketed through the air as it morphed into the shape of a dragon. The dragon of flame roared as it struck Beelzeman. The demon lord of gluttony raised his arms and took the attack head-on, and was quite surprised when he saw his feet shift back slightly from the force of the attack. Katan, Gakakyu no Jutsu! Rika took a deep breath, her hands fixed on the Tora sign as her chakra flared to its highest levels. The chakra became fire in her belly, rising through her body before she parted her lips and roared, releasing the largest fireball she had ever made, which was about the size of a small car. The attack burned the air around it, feeding off the oxygen in the digital-made air to fuel its flames. The attack struck home and caused a large explosion and Beelzeman flying through the air. Beelzeman flipped and spread his raven-feathered wings and made himself stationary in the air. Beelzeman growled, his crimson eyes focused on the violet-gray-eyed tamer below him. Such a pest, he swooped down to cleave the girl in half with his sharp claws, but was surprised as hell when Rika ducked. Channeling any remaining amounts of chakra into her leg muscles and feet, Rika spun and readied her taijutsu move. Konoha de Zenpu / Great Leaf Hurricane. Renaman's tamer yelled as her heel crashed into Beelzeman's side and sent him crashing to the ground, skidding along it before he stopped. Renamon then appeared by her tamer in a fighting position. The blue-eyed Kitsune watched as her tamer panted from exerting so much chakra. Don't push yourself. Most of your chakra went into those katan jutsus, and the last bit of whatever you had just went into that kick. Rest, Rika, Renamon told the red-haired girl. Rika panted heavily and shook her head. Doraemon and Gataman then appeared as they had jumped the chasm and ran towards Rika and Renamon. No. Not until I, Avenger Naruto-kun, she hissed, her shoulder heaving. Rika fell to the ground, however, as she lost her legs gave out. Renamon quickly caught her and looked up in time to jump away as Beelzeman pulled out his shotguns. Double impact! The demon lord yelled his attack as he fired both guns. Doraemon and Gataman rose to their feet after ducking beneath the bullets. You will pay for taking our tamer and friend away from us, Doraemon growled. And we will not rest until you are Destroyed. And with that statement from Gekomon, the two Digimon raced towards Beelzemon. Beelzemon chuckled to himself before readying his guns, but couldn't aim as the dragon and cat were only jumping about as they neared his position. Kyuso, can't get a good shot. The demon lord of gluttony quickly spread his wings and was about to take to the skies, only rising a few feet when he felt a force acting on his body. Hyper Dash Metal. The purple-furred dragon moved with speeds that he had no idea he possessed, and crashed his metal-hard body against his tamer's killer. Beelzemon recovered and landed on his feet in a crouch, only to receive an unexpected kick to the face from Gekomon. Nico Kick! Her white energy-covered foot was planted in his face, and the winged Digimon was sent skidding backwards before Doraemon came from the left. Dash Metal! Doraemon's shoulder tackled the enemy Digimon before running after the sliding Digimon. Doraemon swiped with his claws, but Beelzemon managed to block and or avoid them all. However, Gekomon appeared from behind and kicked him, knocking him off balance as the shorter Digimon landed on the ground as she used his head to backflip away. Doraemon then used the distraction and jumped in order to head but Beelzemon in the chin, knocking his head upwards and his being a few feet off the ground. Doraemon then jumped again after landing and backflipped, crashing his foot against the raven-winged Digimon's chin this time and sent him further skyward. Gekomon then jumped and used Doraemon as a springboard to meet the Demon Lord. Lightning Paw! White energy coated her paws as she performed an uppercut that sent Beelzemon even higher. Grabbing onto him, Gekomon gave one glimpse at her dragon of a boyfriend to find him landing deftly on his feet as he touched the ground. Gekomon then turned her fierce blue eyes back to the Demon Lord and his pain-stricken face. Gekomon then held on to the leg of the leather-wearing Digimon who had gotten over the pain and spread his wings trying to get Gekomon to let go, but to no avail. As a reward for his efforts, Gatomon's claws dug themselves into the Demon Lord's leg, thus allowing her a solid anchor, as the winged Digimon screamed in pain. "Ah, you bitch!" Beelzemon flew down and prepared to drag Gekomon along the ground only for Doraemon to appear. He jumped and twisted in the air, slamming his tail against the side of Beelzemon's face. Gekomon then removed her claws from Beelzemon's damaged leg and jumped off of him. Beelzemon landed on leg, his other one obviously damaged as red data bled from the wound that was slowly, but still quickly, healing itself as his body absorbed the data in the air to heal himself. Doraemon and Gekomon panted and were a bit tired, but continued to fight. Doraemon raced towards the healing Beelzemon and aimed a slash, but Beelzemon ducked before raising his arm to block a kick from Gekomon. Using the momentum from the kick, Gekomon spun and tried to get a shot with her heel. The Demon Lord leaned his head back and avoided the move before grabbing her leg and then slamming Gekomon into the ground with devastating force before he saw Doraemon running to save his girlfriend. "You want her? Here!" Beelzemon threw the feline at Doraemon, sending both rookie and champion Digimon to the ground. Doraemon recovered quickly and then rested Gekomon down before firing multiple steel spheres from his jaws. Metal Shoot! The metal orb soared through the air, but Beelzemon quickly raised his fists and punched them all down with amazing power and accuracy. Beelzemon then smirked as Doraemon continued to fire orb after orb of hardened steel and destroyed every single one of them in one punch. The Sin of Gluttony then roared as he slammed his raised hand on the ground. The ground cracked as Beelzemon dug his claws into the earth, and removed it along with a large chunk of earth the size of a large boulder. Beelzemon then threw the boulder into the air and leaped before spinning and landing a roundhouse kick on the defenseless rock that sent it rocketing towards Doraemon and Gekomon at high speeds. Henry quickly leapt over the chasm to reach their side of the earth before forming hand signs and slammed them on the ground. Doton, Dorihiki no Jutsu! The Asian tamer cried out as a wall of stone erected itself in front of Doraemon and the downed Gekomon. The wall received a great crack as the boulder impacted with the earth wall, and thus caused it to crumble as a result after a few seconds. Beelzemon growled, "Too many interferences, I'll kill you guys there first before I handle these two." The red-eyed Mega spread his wings and prepared to go towards the remainder of the group. Kahuna Wave! Marine Angeman released a bubble of red energy in the shape of a heart. Thinking it was just a weak attack, Beelzemon plowed through the bubble only to find himself trapped as the bubble suddenly grew in size and entrapped him in a heart-shaped prison of red. "What the?" Beelzemon punched the bubble only to have his fist bounce off of its surprisingly rigid form. Beelzemon continued to try and free himself. Seeing the window of opportunity, Leomon looked at the group. "Quick, we have to get out of here!" Leomon roared. Rika, who had slightly recovered, stood to her feet as she was rested on the ground before by Renamon. "No! I need to avenge." Naruto-kun. Renamon held her weakened tamer back. "And oh, Rika, he's gone." Rika refused to listen as she furiously tried to fight off her much stronger Digimon partner. No, Naruto always finds a way to come back. He can't die. I love him too much. He can't die. Rika stopped struggling before having Renamon embrace her as she cried into the fur of her partner. Renamon's ice blue eyes seemed to become even colder in appearance. Leomon quickly leaped across and recovered the now unconscious Doraemon and slightly conscious Gatomon. Naruto, Gomen Nasai the white cat Digimon whispered as she had failed to avenge her tamer. We will make you pay, the KitsuneDragon growled. You think you can beat me? I wiped out your leader and thus left you all psychologically destroyed, and also I am a mega level while you guys are just rookies and champions. You have no chance. The Demon Lord of Gluttony countered Renamon's threat, and all was silent as they knew. He was right, even if he was trapped in a bubble prison. Now then, I shall HHHHHHHHH. Beelzemon screamed in pain, alerting the others to his pain as they saw him gripping his chest and his hands trembling. The sound of burning flesh reaching their ears. To all that looked, they saw Beelzemon looking at his hands and chest, and they saw the image of the digital hazard, violently burning itself into Beelzemon's hands and chest. Smoke rising due to its intensity. The red bubble of the Kahuna Wave prison began to expand and rise from the heat produced, but it expanded to such a degree that the Kahuna Wave stretched beyond its limits and popped, sending Beelzemon crashing to the ground in pain, leaving an imprint of the Demon Lord. Agha, what's happening to me? Beelzemon spread his wings and flapped them furiously in an attempt to cool the burns, but to no avail. That boy will live. He is my only hope, my salvation, and you dare to destroy him. WWWHO are you? Beelzemon roared as he clutched his head, the burning getting worse as he felt as if his hand was about to be smoldered from the effects of the glowing insignia that was the digital hazard. I have been waiting nearly countless years for this moment. I will not let some digital demon lord whelp such as yourself to ruin it for me. You're lucky that your stomach does not digest the data it swallows, or else I would have completely destroyed you if it meant for Naruto's revival. Shut up, shut you up. Beelzemon bashed his head against the ground in a feeble attempt to rid himself of Lusmon's evil voice. You dare not lay a hand on the boy. He is the key to my freedom. Lusmon spoke into Beelzemon's mind. And a nanny? The Demon Lord Digimon looked at his hand as he continued to feel the burning sensation. I gave you this power, and I can just as easily take it from you. I gave you this power, and you use it to destroy my only hope of regaining substance in this pitiful version of a digital world. Lusmon roared. The group looked in shock as Beelzemon continued to scream in pain. In fact, the burning was so intense that his hand was beginning to let off smoke in large streams. Quick, while we have the chance, run! Leomon and Ryutamon roared. The group froze for a second as they looked at the writhing Beelzemon before nodding and taking off for Tsukuyomon's palace, without Naruto. What the hell you? Who are you? Beelzemon asked, looking around the empty air. Lusmon chuckled evilly before using his long-range telekinesis to force Beelzemon to the ground once more as the Demon Lord attempted to rise to his feet. I am your new lord and master. No way, you bodiless freak. Beelzemon don't answer to nobody, and that includes voices that think they can. Beelzemon was silenced as he felt the force of gravity increase tenfold, creating an imprint of his body from the downward action. Urasai, you pitiful little whelp. Now I will release you, but, in exchange you must do what I ask. And what I ask is for you to kill that Leomon with the Tamers. However, only commit this act after they have reached Tsukuyomon's palace. He is part of the much grander plan I have in mind. Meanwhile, I will be trying to find a way return my piece de resistance to the world, the fallen angel Digimon said. Beelzemon scoffed. And what if I don't? Huh? What ya gonna do then? Beelzemon cackled as he began to resist, rising to his knees from sheer willpower alone. But the force suddenly multiplied in strength, and he was back, face first in the ground. If you don't, then your body will be crushed, and your data scattered to the wind, the blonde angelic Digimon replied. Beelzemon suddenly felt a different force. The force of killing, the want for death, the need for destruction, killing intent. It was from this killing intent that Beelzemon knew Lusmon wasn't joking and nodded. All right, he submitted to the fallen angel, though with a scowl. I'll do your little dirty work. The Leomon, right? Beelzemon asked. Lusmon nodded and gave his newest subordinate a mental high. After they have reached Tsukuyomon's palace? Lusmon gave the mental confirmation once more. Hi, and now go, but here is a little companion for you to take along. Dark prison. Lusmon meditated, floating a few inches off the ground, his armbands and tattoos glowing. Focusing within his dark prison, the fallen angel called upon his energies of light and darkness before pulling out the dark energy. As Lusmon had suspected, The prison he was being held in was weakening over time. His dark energy construct then broke through the prison before it healed itself, leaving Lusman once again with no escape. The prison is weak, but not weak enough. Lusman's sky blue eyes stared at the center and main lock of the prison. Anyways, Beelzeman, I have just sent the companion for you to take along. Have fun with her. She's a feisty little devil. With Beelzeman. Beelzeman waited for a few seconds before a dark pillar of purple and black data sprouted out of the ground. The Tower of Darkness was about as tall as a Tyrannoman before it shrank down to being as tall as Beelzeman himself. The darkness began to swirl before taking shape. The shape of a humanoid Digimon. The humanoid Digimon was female in appearance as well as gender. She had black hair that was most likely very long since it was tied up by the many pins, as well as the golden crown upon her head. She had a very eye-appealing body, with an hourglass figure a Lady Devilman would kill to have. She wore a black bodysuit with gold markings on it, and covered her arms and lower body, leaving only her cleavage visible, with a large purple and gold cloak of some kind. A small pair of bat wings grew out from her between her shoulder blades. In the middle of her back there was a large pair of torn-looking bat wings. Below the torn wings were two long belt-shaped wings that made a pointed edge in a golden color, and below that were two more golden wings that seemed similar to spikes. The bodysuit was able to reach down to her feet and formed a sort of footwear. This was Lilithmon, a mega-level Digimon and a Demon Lord Digimon. She represents the sin of lust. She was thought to be a fallen Ophanamon who was banished to the dark prison. Of course, Lusman was on an evil streak and absorbed her data after killing her, along with the other demon lords in a surprise attack to take out each one, except for Ogudamon, Belphamin, and Beelzeman, in an effort to take over the digital world. A/N. I needed a reason as to how Lusman was powerful enough to handle the 4 sovereigns and Fanglaman, so if he killed and absorbed 3 of the 6 remaining demon lords, that would provide sufficient power to do so, and also a reason as to how he could reform Lilithmon. The reason for the being of lust was because, well, lust and gluttony got along well together in the show Full Metal Alchemist, so you see where I'm going with this. Lilithmon opened her eyes, were shown to be completely black where the sclera was, and the irises were a dark violet. Her pupils dilating and expanding to adjust to the light. She stretched wings and limb for a few seconds before relaxing them. Much better, the female Digimon sighed in relief. She scanned the area before her eyes fell on Beelzeman. Hey there, big boy. Wanna go for a ride? Lilithmon said with a sly wink. Beelzeman blinked before smirking. Listen here, Toots. I am Beelzeman, Demon Lord of Gluttony. I ain't gonna be taken down by some mangy woman, the raven-winged Digimon replied as he walked over to his fallen shotgun, and then put it back at his slot on his boot. Now where do you get off calling me mangy? Lilithmon growled, a dark aura surrounding her body. Beelzeman chuckled and released his own dark aura, both clashing in a battle of wills and stares. The dark auras grew in size before they died down. The two sins gave each other nods of respect. You're strong, they told each other simultaneously. Care for a ride, Toots, or can you fly like the bat you are? Beelzeman asked. The bird-masked Digimon turned around and put 2 fingers, his index and middle fingers, in his mouth as he whistled. The high-pitched sound traveled through the air, and within a few seconds the behemoth rode up from behind a near, yet still slightly far away boulder and skidded to a halt in front of the 2 demon lords. Nice motorcycle. And the behemoth nonetheless. Keep showing off and you might get something in return, Sugar, Lilithmon replied with a chuckle. Beelzeman snorted in amusement. Yeah, whatever, Toots, just climb on, he said as he sat down, scooting up so Lilithmon had some space to ride. The sexy female Digimon took her seat, her arms wrapped around Beelzeman's waist. Alright, you ready? Ready as I'll ever be, big boy. And the name is Lilithmon, not Toots. Frankly, Toots, I don't give a damn, and Beelzeman revved the behemoth before performing a wheelie and driving off in the direction of the Tamers. Meanwhile, red and black were the only colors visible to the blonde shinobi Tamer as he stood to his feet. What happened to me? Naruto asked as he looked around the sea of red data that was accompanied by a pitch-black sky, if you could call it that. The sapphire eyes of the Kyubi Jinchuriki looked up at the darkness above. Oh right, I died and I think Beelzeman ate me. No, you baka! A deep voice resounded through Naruto's head, causing the blonde shinobi Tamer to clutch his head. Kyubi? Naruto asked. Hi, you retard. How dare you go suicidal? That is so unlike you. You would have fought to the last man, but you went without a fight. Kyubi roared. Jijigomen Nasai, Naruto replied to his bijou. Besides, I can only handle so much of your chakra, and even if I fought Beelzeman, there was still no guarantee that we would have won and the others would have survived. That's no excuse to not fight. What is with you? Back in our universe you would have gone down like a shinobi, now you're just a pussy. Naruto looked down in shame. The great demon Kitsune had hit a nerve with that last comment. True, Naruto would not have gone down without a fight. So why now? Why did I not fight? Naruto asked more to himself than the bijou. Maybe it's because I actually have someone. I have someone I truly loved. You loved your friends back in Konoha. I have people here who respect me. Your friends respected you as well back in Konoha, the great nine-tailed demon retorted. I have 2 partners that would give their lives in order to protect me and those we cherished. I have people here who are true to their word when they say they are my friends. They didn't hate in the beginning when they found out I had you in my stomach. The people in this universe don't glare at me with those hateful eyes, yet I threw it all away because… Naruto paused because he couldn't think of a reason. A/N. Actually, the truth is I can't think up a reason as to why I just had Naruto take a bullet for the team. I thought it would bring suspense to the story, which it did, yet for people who asked why have Naruto do this, I can't answer because I just can't. Kyuubi remained silent, because he couldn't come back on that one. Sakura had denied him the satisfaction of feeling proud when he brought back a teammate that betrayed them all. Villagers glared at him, cursed the blonde and those who treated him as if he didn't have a bijou sealed in his gut. True, you have, well, had, actually everything you could ever wish for in this universe. But you avoided the question, why throw it all away with that one bullet? Naruto frowned. I don't know. So, am I really dead or is this limbo? He asked the fox. Neither, you see, as the bullet was moving towards you, I rapidly took over your mind and body and managed to get as much of my Ikai as I could out and block most of the impact to your forehead where your frontal lobe was. However, the force of the bullet was able to break through and hit your skull with a slightly less amount of force, and thus you didn't die when you were eaten by Beelzebub. Your body was then eaten by him, and I'm guessing we're in some other dimension within the digital world or we're just plain lost. Nani? Naruto exclaimed. Exactly. Apparently there is nothing here but empty space and blood. Naruto bent down and looked at the sea of blood he was in. Only when he dipped his hands in the blood did he and Kyuubi realize it wasn't blood, for the blood began to shine similar to that of Data Flakes. The blonde gasped, his eyes widening in shock. Data Flakes? Hi. Apparently there is so much here that it looks like a sea of blood, Naruto said as he let the data flakes slip through his fingers, smooth as water yet thick like blood. Well, guess we have nothing to do but walk. Naruto finished before he began to walk through the sea of red data. After about an hour of walking, Naruto was starting to feel tired. What's going on? I feel weak. The blonde's eyelids began to droop as he felt as if he were being deprived of his energy. Kit, quick, find some way out of this data. It's draining you of your chakra, as well as your life force, Kyuubi roared. Naruto's eyes widened at this as he suddenly caught his unknown second wind. He was going to perform an earth jutsu when he realized there was no solid ground, only data flakes. Kyuso, both Jinchuriki and Bijou cursed. Naruto began to suddenly panic as he continued to feel woozy, his eyes dropping once more. However, as he was about to fall, Naruto felt himself hit something solid. Kyuso, come on there, little guy. I gotcha, a voice said. Naruto looked up just as he was about to faint, and he caught sight of blonde hair and golden eyes. Stay with me, Gaki, Ko. Oh, Gak St. Why? Me. Naruto's eyes shut as he felt the remainder of his energy that was used to keep himself conscious was lost. Darkness filled his vision, and the figure that caught Naruto looked around the darkness. The only light was the shining of the data flakes. Good thing I'm immune to the data absorption, but this Gaki isn't. Might as well do it. The figure used surprising strength to throw Naruto, who was quite heavy for a 13-year-old boy, into the air before it clapped its hands together before slamming them down on the sea of data flakes. Blue lightning appeared out of nowhere upon the figure's contact with the data flakes. The data flakes suddenly turned steel-silver as they became a hardened metal. The figure nodded in satisfaction before holding his arms and jumped, catching Naruto in mid-air as the blonde fell back down to earth. Resting Naruto on the cool steel pathway, the figure clapped his hands once more, and then placed them on the data flakes once more. Blue lightning formed and the red data flakes transformed into an iron staff. After that, the figure picked up Naruto and rested him on its shoulder while using the staff for support to carrying the extra weight. Well then, let's get you back to my place, the figure stated to the unconscious form of the blonde. With the Tamers, the group had just finished running and stopped to rest. The darkness had swept across the area and the group formed a campfire by using Terrierman's bunny blast to heat a pile of flammable chrome Digiza that Kazu and Kenta had taken out of Shibumi's cave when they had entered with the Quartermone twins. They were silent, all staring into the campfire. The golden and blue-colored flames burned, crackling as they used the oxygen in the air to stay alive. Leomon ripped small chunks of his immortal and regrowing mane into the fires to keep it burning every time he saw the flames begin to die. So, what do we do? Kenta asked as Marine Angeman slept on his head. I guess we should just go back home, Jerry said. I mean, Naruto was our leader. What's a rescue group without its commanding officer? No! Takato said, standing to his feet. His reddish-brown eyes enhanced his furious look. Takato, I don't mean anything bad, but we've lost. Naruto's gone, and without him we can't fight off the strongest Digimon. Doraemon and Gatomon, the Asian tamer, looked to the two melancholy Digimon. They had been lying next to each other, silent. Rika was pretty much the same way as she rested on Renemon's lap. No. Naruto told us to go south, and we are going south. Naruto would want us to continue the journey and rescue Kalium, Takato said. The goggle-wearing tamer looked at the others, who were a bit down after hearing Takato bring up Naruto. Ryudaman stood and nodded. Though I have known Naruto for this limited amount of time, I know he is a person who would not leave something unfinished. Stubborn but determined. We leave at first light. Ryudaman barked. The other tamers nodded with a small smile, and a small glimmer of the light that once filled Rika's, Doraemon's and Gatomon's eyes returned upon hearing those words. Hi! Beelzemon and Lilithmon watched the group from afar. Such a nice group of children. That Leomon sure looks nice, Lilithmon said in a sensual tone. Beelzemon licked his lips. If only I would be able to eat them, the raven-winged, motorcycle-riding demon lord whined. Too bad. Lusman-sama said not to eat them or harm them in any way until we arrive at the palace of the Sovereign of the South, the female Digimon said as she watched Beelzemon sucked his index finger as a certain homunculus would. He bit into the rock they were hiding behind and chewed it. Not bad, he commented before continuing to eat the stone. You're a pig, the being of lust sighed. And you're a whore, he countered. Team, bitch. And the arguments continued for a while before they quieted down so as not be heard. With Naruto unknown dimension. Naruto groaned as he woke. His senses kicked in, and he jumped from the sudden feeling of cold. He looked around to find himself floating on a small circular-shaped island made entirely of metal. He heard the sounds of a crackling fire. What the fire? So you're up, a voice said. Naruto turned around and reached for a kunai. However, he found his weapons pouch gone. If you're looking for that pouch with sharp pointy objects, here the figure tossed Naruto his weapons and caught them before reattaching the pouch. Who are you? It's common mannerisms for one to give their name before earning the name of the other, the figure replied with a devilish smirk. Naruto's sweat dropped as he remembered that line from when Sasuke spoke to Neji at the Chunin exams on the second floor. Those were the days, he sighed at the memory before returning to the question. Namikaze Uzumaki. Naruto. So you're a human from the real world, the figure said. Are you a Digimon? Naruto asked as he looked over the figure. Now that there was a form of light other than shining data flakes, he got a good look at the creature's face. It was humanoid and, judging from its structure, obviously male. It looked downright human-like. Nothing like a humanoid creature, like Dino-Human, but full-blown human-looking anatomy and looks. The figure was standing at its full height, showing Naruto the figure stood at a height of at least 6 feet. It had long golden blonde hair that was tied into a braided ponytail. Bronze-yellow eyes looked at Naruto's sapphire blue. He wore a black t-shirt and long black pants with black boots. A pair of white gloves was worn over high hands. The unknown figure completed the look by wearing a blood-red trench coat that, if you looked at the back, had the image of a serpent coiling itself around a cross. Hi, the Digimon replied. Naruto took out his Democrat Arkansas for Doraemon, which miraculously remained in his pocket along with his Digimon cards and case, and Gatomon's Democrat Arkansas. So you're a tamer, Naruto replied with a simple nod as the image of the humanoid Digimon appeared. Alchemon, Mega Level. Said to be a master in the art of alchemy, and knows how to fight expertly in hand-to-hand combat. It's said to usually travel with an armored guardian that Alchemon affectionately calls Alphonse. Alchemon is the enemy of the 7 Demon Lord Digimon, and was said to have disappeared in a battle with Beelzemon. Attacks are Transmutation, Auto-Mail Crusher and Alchemic Burst, Naruto read before putting away the Democrat Arkansas. Nice little doohickey you got there, Alchemon said. It's a Democrat Arkansas. It is said to have information on nearly any Digimon, adding information to new Digimon that have been scanned, Naruto explained before he looked around the metal island. So, where's this armor guardian guy? The blonde asked. Alchemon frowned at that. Well, like your Democrat Arkansas said, I had disappeared with a fight with the sin of gluttony, Beelzemon. However, Ale died and was absorbed/eaten by Beelzemon. I fought with rage and thus it became my downfall, and he ate me using the data portal. So where does the data portal take us? How long have you been here? Naruto asked his questions in rapid succession. Alchemon chuckled. Well, we are in Beelzemon's bottomless pit of a stomach. The reason you were feeling drained is because those red data flakes are actually Bielsman's past meals that, after being digested of all usable nutrients, they acted as assimilators, absorbing the life force of anything that is eaten via data portal. Naruto's eyes widened as he looked around, not believing that this huge place was actually the demon lord's stomach. As for how long I've been here, Alcemon answered the second question. I've been here for so many life cycles I've lost count, but I have been developing a way to get out, although I haven't tested it yet and am afraid of the results if it doesn't go as planned. So is there an end to this place? I mean, there has to be a way out, right? The blonde-haired Digimon shook his head. There is no end going up, left or right, and his stomach is indeed bottomless, having opened up a well in the past using my alchemy to drop a transmuted rock down it, and waited 5 minutes, and there was still no sound of it hitting the bottom. Golden eyes filled with seriousness looked into Naruto's surprise-filled sapphire orbs. There was a period of silence. Kit, Alcemon said he can use the ancient art of alchemy, and developed a way to get out. Be the test subject. Nani? Naruto mentally yelled to his bijou, are you insane? He said he never tested it, and the results could be really, really bad if it goes wrong. Well, it's probably our only chance at getting out of here. Fine, but I want to talk to him first, get to know him and earn a glimmer and not most of his trust. Sounds like a plan, and Kyuubi stopped talking. Alcemon? The red cloak-wearing Digimon looked at Naruto. Hi, Naruto? I was wondering, what is alchemy exactly? Alcemon's eyes shone with happiness. Oh, it's been so long since someone has asked me that question. I'll be happy to explain. Well, before we begin into alchemy, you must know the law of equivalent exchange. This is a law that all alchemists follow, both human and Digimon, since it is necessary for one to know this before attempting alchemy at all. What law is that? The law of equivalent exchange states that no form of living organism cannot gain anything without first giving something in return. To obtain something of equal value must be lost. That is alchemy's first law of equivalent exchange. In those days, we really believed that to be the world's one and only truth. And with that, Alcemon explained the art of alchemy and how the use of transmutation circles allowed one to change the appearance of something, transform things from its original form into another form, although it must be of equal mass, as well as the taboo of Digimon revival transmutation. What is Digimon revival transmutation? The blonde shinobi asked the alchemic master. Digimon revival transmutation is something based off of the alchemy in the real world, known as human transmutation. It is a taboo among any kind of alchemist, human or Digimon. I had a friend, she had been destroyed when a virus Digimon called Dr. Animan attacked the area we were staying in. I was still a rookie level back then, and it killed her and my other friend that I had seen as a brother. I performed the taboo, and as such I lost 2 of my limbs. My left leg and my right arm. Alcemon rolled up his pants leg and the sleeve of his trench coat to reveal them to be shining metal. Sug, but how were you able to do this? Naruto asked. Attaching the limbs and making them able to move to such a high degree they move just like regular fingers, I mean, Alcemon smirked. Another friend of mine, a Babamon who specialized in making limbs for Digimon who lost their original ones, made out of a herbid metal from combing gold and silver and regular chrome digits. She called it automail. After that she reattached them to my nerves and whatnot, and here I am. Sug, guess I know who to go to in case I lose a limb or 2, he joked, earning a laugh from the alchemy Digimon. I'm glad I'm not alone in this place anymore. You've earned my friendship, and my trust, young Tamer, Alcemon said. Naruto smirked, and held out his fist for Alcemon to bump. Alcemon looked in surprise before smiling broadly, and then rolling down his pant leg and sleeve before bumping fists with Naruto. No problem, but I will need to leave. My friends up on the surface of the digital world need my assistance. We are trying to save a friend from Tsukuyomin, the old bird sovereign of the south? Earning a nod from the blonde shinobi. The blonde alchemist listened as the tamer told his tale, and then paused as the information soaked into Alcemon's brain. Okay, then I will help you escape, Alcemon said, standing to his feet. Naruto stood up as well. You will? He asked, obviously surprised. Alcemon nodded to his fellow blonde. Hi, but first I need to set up the doorway. I had always considered the possibility of what would happen if I opened the digital gate of alchemy and used it on a living being. Guess we'll find out today, Naruto said, and with that the 2 blondes set to work. Time skip 1 day, digital world time, / half a week in the real world. They contacted Yamaki via the data pad that Takato had completely forgotten he had in his bag. After sending their messages that were to be relayed to their parents, they had gotten a reply from the head of Hypnos saying the old group of monster makers had gotten together again, and were now making a surprise way for the group to return home. The group then continued onwards. Ryudaman then paused, a smile stretching across his face as he turned to the group. Ryudaman, why are you smiling? Doraemon asked his childhood/baby-levelhood friend. Because, we've arrived, the orange-furred pointed ahead as he switched from all fours to standing in his back legs. The others looked ahead to see the blue sky had suddenly become dark and smelled of sulfur a few meters away from where they were currently standing. Yada! The group screamed in accomplishment. We did it, Naruto. We're gonna rescue Callium and Rika thought. After a few minutes of running, the group finally reached the cracked purplish earth and walked across it. Streams of black and white smoke, the colors varying, spouted from geysers. The sulfurous fumes in the air began to cause every cough, but it wasn't so bad that they could get poisoned. After a few minutes of walking, the group stopped at the entrance to the palace, which was separated from them by a large, menacing steel, spike-railed bridge and a large, bunny rabbit standing in front of the only way to cross the bridge. Ohio, we're here to see Zukuyaman, Kazu said, walking up with Gardraman. The large rabbit looked down at the Tamers, their partners, and Ryudaman. I am a servant of the sovereign, and it is my duty to have no other Digimon other than the other sovereigns cross this path to the palace of Zukuyaman-sama, the rabbit replied. Henry took out his green Democrat Arkansas and scanned the large 20-foot rabbit. Anilaman, ultimate level Digimon, and is the rabbit Deva. She is strong and agile, a perfect combination for hand-to-hand combat. That mixed with her attack, bunny blades which changes her hands into twin-bladed swords, make a deadly combination. Henry? Everyone looked up, their eyes widening to twice their original size. Henry's was ×3 as he saw his little sister, Suzie, climb out from behind the rabbit Deva's ears. Suzie? Henry exclaimed. The rabbit looked between Henry and his little sister. You know this thing? Antillaman asked, pointing at Suzie. Yeah, I know her. She's my sister now, put her down, Henry said, fury crossing his facial features. Okay, sure. Henry lost all anger, which had quickly become confusion as Antillaman reached atop her head and rested Suzie on the ground in front of her. Aniki. Henry! Suzie ran up to Henry and gave him a hug, well, hugged his legs anyways. Henry rested his hand atop her head. Suzie, what are you doing here? Henry asked as he looked down on Suzie. I don't know. Suzie answered truthfully. 1 second. I was in the park with Otosan and then I saw this putty light, and then I ended up here with Antillaman, she replied with a smile as she ran back to the Deva and patted its leg. Henry looked confused at what just happened. Dude, your little sister just befriended a Deva. You just got served by a 6-year-old Kaze, whispered to the Asian Tamer. Oh, Yurei Kazu. Antillaman, we need to speak to Zukuyaman, Henry said. Hi, it's urgent. We're looking for our friend Callium, Takato added. Look, I am ordered to guard this bridge for all time and I will carry out that task. Even if you are friends of Suzie here, the rabbit Deva looked down at the purple-haired girl. I cannot allow you passage. Ha ha! A familiar voice sounded, echoing throughout land of Zukuyaman. That accompanied by the roar of the mechanical beast. The Tamers and their partners turned slowly in fear and shock as they looked to see the familiar face that came with the familiar voice. No. Beelzeman, Miss Migaki's? Beelzeman asked as he screeched to a halt in front of the Tamers, their partners, Suzie, Antillaman and Ryudaman. Beelzeman stepped off with Lilithmon, and the 2 demon lords stood in front of the group. Kenta then used his Democrat Arkansas to scan the female sin of lust. A holographic image of the demoness came up on the rose-colored Diarch screen. Lilithmon, mega level. Q, so we can't take on both of them. Her power is supposed to be equal to that of the other demon lords like Beelzeman, which is an insane amount. Her attacks are Nazar Nail and Phantom Pain, the glasses-wearing Tamer read. He then pocketed his Democrat Arkansas and the group stared at the 2 sins of the digital world. Hee, now then, since the little blondie is gone, it's time I killed you all. Beelzeman gave off an evil grin. However, as he took a step forward, the sin of gluttony suddenly felt a sharp pain in his stomach, sending the raven-winged Digimon to the ground. What's wrong? I told you not to eat those stupid Patamon on the way here. They give you indigestion, the sin of lust commented. Her words fell on deaf ears as Lilithmon watched her fellow demon lord clutch his stomach in pain as he began to retch, saliva and what seemed to be red flakes of data spewing from his mouth. Ugh, what's happening? He grunted as he continued to retch. Beelzeman's stomach. Alright, the transmutation circle is set up, Alchemon said as he finished drawing the circle with the kunai that Naruto gave him. Alright, so I stand in the center, right? Naruto asked. The mega-level alchemy Digimon nodded. Hi, do that and I will do the rest, Alchemon said. Naruto nodded and did as he was told, standing in the center of the large transmutation circle. You will use this to get yourself out, won't you? Naruto asked. Alchemon smirked. I'm afraid I can't, as I will be unsure of whether or not the transmutation will be successful, the red cloak-wearing Digimon said. But I mean, You can come too. You can come with me, stand here and we'll get out together, Naruto said. Alcemon shook his head. Equivalent exchange, remember. When you pass through the gate to get out of Beelzeman's stomach, the gate will want something in exchange for your exit. Don't you have one of those data stones, the one that allows you to bypass the law? Naruto asked, remembering the conversation on it from his talk about alchemy with Alcemon earlier. Alcemon's eyes widened as he slapped himself. Kyuso, how could I forget, he cursed, and Alcemon reached into his cloak's pocket before pulling out a small crimson stone the size of a pebble. Well then, if you can find a way to let me know if this works. Alcemon paused as Naruto gave him the nice guy pose along with his trademark foxy grin. I will. The blonde shinobi nodded to the blonde alchemist. Alright, let's do this thing, Alcemon exclaimed. He rested the data stone on the edges of the circle before clapping his hands together, the sound echoing throughout the area. Alcemon slammed his hands down on the ground on top the edges of the transmutation circle, each hand on either side of the crimson pebble. Transmutation! Alcemon yelled as Naruto began to feel a pull on his body. A large storm of blue and red lightning sprouted out of the ground near Alcemon as the alchemic reaction between regular alchemy and the data stone enhanced alchemy was performed. I'll see you, on the other side, Naruto yelled, earning a wink from the golden-eyed alchemist. May I live to see that day, Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto, and with that there was a large bolt of blue and red lightning that obscured both human and Digimon's vision. Naruto then vanished in a blur of orange and black into a yellow data portal above. Digital World Southern Quadrant. Zukiaman's palace grounds. Beelzeman continued to hack and retch before he screamed to the sky, and then the red and violet data vortex that led to his stomach opened up from his mouth. It twisted like a tornado before there was a yellowish glow coming from its epicenter. The yellow glow moved upwards before it was launched into the sky. The ball of yellow energy then descended to the point between the Tamers and the Demon Lords. A large dust cloud erupted from the energy ball's contact with the earth, and debris was scattered everywhere. The group of Digimon and humans all looked with wide eyes. Even Lusman, who was watching through the orb in his prison, watched in awe as the cloud of dust began to settle. I'm impossible! Beelzeman roared. The dust cloud parted by a gust of wind and a flare of blue chakra as there, in front of the group, stood the one and only blonde shinobi Tamer, Namikaze Uzumaki Naruto. And then Naruto-kun? Rika stuttered. The sapphire-eyed boy turned to his friends and gave a wave. Yo, Gomen Nasai for being late. I was lost on the road of life. He was then tackled, nearly losing his balance as his girlfriend glomped him. I thought you had died, she sobbed into his chest. Naruto smiled sadly as he stroked the red-headed girl's back. Gomen Nasai, Rika-chan. I didn't mean to make you cry, and I promise it won't ever happen again, he whispered to her. Rika sniffled before smiling up at the taller teenager before she kissed him. Naruto returned the kiss and they held it for a few seconds. As Rika let him go, he was taken by surprise as she ducked suddenly as Gataman and Doraemon jumped on his face and chest, respectively. Naruto! They yelled, hugging him. Naruto laughed as he pried the Digimon off of him. It's good to have you back, man. Just don't do that again, the purple-furred dragon said. Yeah, we thought we lost you. We nearly lost our will to live when you left us, Tamer the white-furred feline added with a downcast look. Naruto bent down to their level and hugged them. Don't worry, I'm not ever going to leave you guys or the others ever again. Naruto then let his partners go before standing to his full height and turning around. Alcemon, arigato, I wish I could help you, but I guess repayment is the next best thing, Naruto thought. His eyes closed as his newest Digimon friend formed in his mind's eye. His sapphire eyes snapped open as he saw Beelzeman recover from hacking up the shinobi. Why you? How did you get out of my stomach? He roared, spreading his wings menacingly. A friend was all Naruto replied before turning to the others. Now then, who's ready to kick some ass? Naruto roared. This earned him a cheer and acknowledgement from his friends and their Digimon. Yada, Ryutaman, you're with me. Doraemon and Gataman will fight the Bat-Winged Lady. The rest of you take down Beelzeman. Hi, charge! Naruto commanded, and the Tamers rushed towards the two Demon Lords. They split up into their assigned groups, and the battle begun. Lilithmon licked her lips. Such a nice-looking boy. Too bad I'll have to kill you, Lilithmon said with a smirk before she extended her nails by thought alone as they became claws. Naruto's eyes flashed crimson before changing back to blue. He cocked back his fist and let it fly as it was aimed for Lilithmon's face. But the sin of lust ducked and aimed a slash with her newly developed claws. The attack was deflected as Ryutaman jumped and appeared between the blonde and the raven-haired beauty, his armor more than enough to take the hit. Doraemon then opened his jaws. Metal shoot! A multitude of metallic spheres were launched at Lilithmon, who ducked beneath them before she twirled like a ballerina in order to avoid an attacking Gatomon. Nico kick! The white energy-covered foot barely scraped Lilithmon's body, and the demon lord struck out with a vicious kick that crashed into the feline's face, sending her back. Gatomon flipped in the air and landed on her feet before laying low as Doraemon fired more metal spheres at Lilithmon. Using amazing strength, Lilithmon punched the ground and hoisted up a large slab of rock and used it to deflect the attack before throwing it at Doraemon. Doton, Doryuden no Jutsu! Naruto yelled. An earth dragon made of the purplish-black ground rose up and roared, slamming straight through the thrown piece of rock. Lilithmon's eyes widened as she jumped, backflipping in the air as the dragon crashed down on her previous spot. Landing, Lilithmon was forced into doing a series of acrobatic movements as Ryudaman opened his jaws and attack. Katana blade. A numerous amount of steel blades flew forth, nearly impaling the sin of lust. After dodging them all, Lilithmon saw both Gatomon and Doraemon both in the air ready to the attack. Naruto formed a Kagebunshin and tossed at Gatomon's Democrat Arkansas and a card. Digimodify, Omniman's Supreme Cannon. The two Narutos yelled as they swiped the cards. Doraemon's and Gatomon's left arms suddenly morphed into the shape of Metal-Garurumon's heads. The jaws of the head opened to reveal the cannon, already charging ice blue energy. Supreme Cannon! The twin beams of blue energy stretched towards Lilithmon at speeds one could only hope to achieve. The raven-haired Digimon's eyes widened as the two attacks struck her. A large explosion resulted as the attack impacted with her. Naruto's Kagebunshin then handed Gatomon's Democrat Arkansas back to him before dispelling itself. The smoke cloud cleared as Doraemon and Gatomon landed on the ground and ran back to their tamer. Did we get her? Doraemon asked with a growl. Gatomon's pupils became slitted. Far from it, Dorukun, she flicked her tail in anger as it revealed Lilithmon covered by her large purple cloak that was now nothing but a mere tattered mess. Lilithmon frowned as she rose from her crouched position and looked at the cloak. Phooey, you bakas ruined my favorite cloak, she pouted as she tossed the article of cloth away, revealing her rather alluring body. However, this did nothing to change the attitude and emotions that the three males felt towards their opponent. Lilithmon ran towards the four and then jumped in the air, the Nazar nail poised to strike. Nazar nail! She yelled. The four jumped out of the way as the demon lord crashed down on the area where they stood. The ground where Lilithmon, to the surprise of the three Digimon and one Tamer, began to disintegrate as the data that made up its structure began to deteriorate at an alarming rate, forming a neat little hole in the ground. Oh, I miss Lilithmon said with a small chuckle. Guess I'll try again. Nazar nail! Lilithmon cried as she swiped with the golden spike on her hands. The Digimon and Naruto all jumped, flipped, twisted and performed many acrobatic skills that tested the limits of their flexibility and agility, as Lilithmon struck mercilessly and swiftly. This is fun, the sin of lust commented with a chuckle before she swiped in a downward slash aimed for Doraemon. Doraemon backflipped and avoided the strike before he saw an opening, and he took it. Doraemon jumped, hyper dash metal. Doraemon's body suddenly became as hard as steel. The purple-furred dragon streaked through the air before impacting with Lilithmon's face, sending her flying back and skidding along the ground before she came to a stop. Hi, asterisk pan asterisk I got her. Doraemon gave a thumbs up to the others. Nice job, Doraemon, Ryudaman said to his childhood friend. The sin of lust growled as she wiped the dust off of her face. You have hit me once, she stood to his feet, and this the only amount of times you will hit me. Lilithmon opened out her bat-like wings and sped towards the group. Katan, Karawenden no Jutsu! Naruto roared. His hands in the Tora sign, Naruto took a deep breath before exhaling the fiery ninjutsu form of the dreaded reptilian beast. The fire dragon roared before it impacted with the demon lord, but it was shown that she had raised the Nazar nail to block the attack and delete the data-converted chakra into nothing before she flipped and then brought down the golden blade. Naruto rolled to the side before Ryudaman struck with a headbutt. Lilithmon moved to the side and then lashed out with a kick, catching Ryudaman in the side and sent him flying. Gatomon then tried a slide tackle to trip her up, but instead she jumped over Gatomon before spinning and slamming a powerful backhand against Doraemon's approaching mouth and nearly broke his teeth. Naruto sped through hand signs at an alarming rate before slamming them down on the ground. Doton, Suryoka Kaijin / Earth style, Titan's might. The ground rumbled beneath Lilithmon, causing her to slightly lose her balance. But her reflexes and agility were as sharp as her Nazca nail as she performed a backhand spring to avoid the pair of giant earthen fists that jutted out of the ground. Naruto formed more hand signs. Doton, Sumanai no Jutsu / Earth style, Double Dragon Fang. The two fists suddenly morphed into a twin pair of jaws with spikes of hard rock for teeth. The pairs of jaws snapped at Lilithmon, who dodged before she crashed both her fists into one mouth, ending the jutsu's life as she destroyed the other by disintegrating it with her Nazar nail. Doraemon and Ryudaman jumped in the air and opened their jaws. Metal shoot, katana attack. A hailstorm of steel blades and spheres rained down on the demon lord. Lilithmon sighed before taking a deep breath through her nose before exhaling through her mouth. Phantom pain. Her screech sounded like that of a bat's as she released a cloud of black smoke from her lungs. The black misty substance then disintegrated the data that made up the attack, turning it into nothingness. What the? Well, she is a Meagle level, boys, Gataman reminded them. Naruto card. Digimodify. Flame Dragon activate. Digimodify. Speed activate. Gataman's speed tripled as she raced towards Lilithmon, her body surrounded by fire making her look like a blazing comet. Fire rocket barrage. Gataman yelled as she slashed with her fire-covered claws, earning a wound on the demon lord of lust across her arm. Two more slash formed on the same arm, while also accompanied by burns and the screams of pain from Lilithmon. The sin of lust was battered about as she was slashed from all sides. Her back, stomach, chest, arms and legs were covered with burns and slash marks as Gataman finished her attack. Gataman appeared behind Lilithmon and used her remaining power and speed from the modification cards to perform an actual fire rocket and crash into Lilithmon's back, sending the being of lust forwards. Metal shoot. Doraemon ran forth and opened his jaws, bombarding the feminine Digimon with metallic orbs. Ryudaman spun as Lilithmon headed towards his location. His tail impacted, hard, with the embodiment of lust and sent her skidding along the ground and stopping a few feet away from Naruto. Had enough? The blonde asked. Lilithmon cursed in a language Naruto had no idea what it was before she performed a windmill to act as a defense and offense as she twisted, using her arms for balance and then using them to spring back onto her feet. Nazar nail! She thrust the golden blade forth for Naruto's chest, but the blonde quickly bent back at the waist, performing Matrix, his upper body parallel to the ground before he continued with his momentum, and went into a handstand and grabbed the Nazar nail with his feet and flung it and Lilithmon over his head. The bat-winged woman twisted and landed on her feet before stabbing with the Nazar nail again, which Naruto avoided by ducking. Naruto launched a powerful right hook which was avoided as the demoness whisked to the side and then countered with another slash. This dance of death continued for a while before Ryudaman's green eyes widened as he formulated a simple, yet effective and classic plan. Katana attack. A sword blade, the blade of a katana fired from his mouth towards Lilithmon. The purple-eyed female quickly noticed the attack, but also Naruto's incoming kick to her side was approaching, so she chose option number 3 and blocked Naruto's kick with her thigh while grabbing the katana out of the air with her left hand. She then slashed with the katana, nearly taking off Naruto's leg had he not retracted fast enough. Naruto then jumped back as the katana made a cloud of dust from its impact with the earth. Lilithmon then broke through the dust cloud and Naruto twisted to the side before spinning with the momentum and smirked as Lilithmon's eyes widened. Time slowed as Naruto went into a roundhouse kick that crashed into Lilithmon's head. Naruto followed up with a swift punch with his right followed by a left hook. He then went low, bending his knees so that his elbow was able to crash into Lilithmon's stomach, knocking the wind out of. He then punched with his right fist and slammed it into her stomach before it was accompanied by a left fist to the stomach. He then bent down and formed a cage bunchen behind him that jumped and performed a powerful sweeping kick that arced upwards and thus crashed into Lilithmon's chin and sent her upwards. Naruto then jumped and performed a similar kick like his clone as it vanished before using another sweeping upward kick. Both combatants went higher into the air as Naruto clasped both his hands together and then slammed them down in a chakra-enhanced hammer blow to Lilithmon's unprotected face, earning a grunt of pain from the Lust Digimon. Naruto then went after the descending Lilithmon and held out his right hands. Chakra and wind swirled into a miniature, compact sphere of spinning chakra. Rasengan! The spiraling chakra sphere crashed into Lilithmon's body, sending her spiraling downwards into the ground and creating a medium-sized crater just as Naruto fell atop her stomach as he fell straight as a pin. Her stomach made a weird noise as Naruto's feet planted themselves forcefully and firmly against it. Naruto then got off of her and jumped away, out of the crater and sighed to catch his breath. Ryudaman, Doraemon and Gataman were running up to him. Naruto, you okay? Gataman asked her Tamer. Hi Gataman. I think we got her, he added. However, their victory was short-lived as Lilithmon, covered in scratches, scars and ripped clothing with a hint of insanity and anger in her lustful eyes, jumped out of the crater and slammed onto the ground. Die! She howled before she scraped the ground with her Nazar nail, leaving a trail of darkness behind her as the golden blade disintegrated the data that made the ground where the nail passed. They all shifted into their fighting stances as she approached them, but it seemed as if her lust for death increased her fighting skills as she ducked beneath a lightning paw from Gekomon, and then slammed an elbow into the feline's body before grabbing her by the head and slamming her forcefully into the ground. Naruto's feline partner was down and out before Naruto himself as he was about to dodge a straight kick to his sternum, but was caught off guard as the embodiment of lust twisted her body and slammed her fist into his stomach, and then crashing her leg against his side, which would have broken ribs had Kyuubi not healed them the second they were hit. Naruto was sent skidding along the ground before Doraemon and Ryudaman attacked and slammed both their tails against Lilithman's back, sending her stumbling forward. Hyper Dash Metal! Doraemon sped towards the bat-winged woman and then crashed into her with his steel-hard body. Lilithmon growled, baring her now sharper than usual fangs before slashing at him with the Nazar Nail. Nazar Nail! She roared as she swiped at him multiple times, only to have sheer adrenaline and agility, along with luck, save his life. However, Doraemon tripped over a rock. Ryudaman was a few feet away as Lilithmon took a deep breath. Ryudaman ran for his dear life in an effort to reach the purple-furred dragon. No! I won't lose him. Not again. Phantom pain! Lilithmon screeched, and with that Ryudaman leaped, with the other tamers. Beelzemon raised his arms to deflect the incoming pyro spheres from Gilman, and then took out his shotguns. Double impact! He pulled the triggers and two speeding bullets raced towards the crimson reptile. Digimodify! Wardriman's brave shield! Henry yelled. The newly digivolved Gargamon quickly held a golden shield of chrome digits with the crest of courage emblazoned on the front. The attack was blocked, and the shield disappeared. Renamon then digivolved into Cubimon and flipped in the air, her spinning form surrounded by blue flames. Dragon Wheel! The blue flames flew from Cubimon, morphing into the shape of a dragon. The dragon roared as it sped towards Beelzemon, and the sin of gluttony quickly flew into the air to avoid it as he couldn't punch it down while holding his shotguns. He fired his double impact once more, this time at Jerry. However, Leomon grabbed his tamer and ran out of the way and rested the girl down. Are you okay, Jerry? He asked. Hi, Jerry confirmed. Fist of the Beast King! An orange-colored lion head of energy flew forth from Leomon's fist and struck Beelzemon in the back as he focused on Gilman and Gargamon. The attack had the mega level staggering as one of his wings was hit by the brunt of the attack. Foxtail Inferno! Cubimon spread out her 9 tails, each one tipped with a ghostly blue fireball. The 9 fireballs flew and exploded as they impacted with Beelzemon, sending him to the ground. Gilman then rushed forth, his entire body covered in flames. Rock Breaker, full body mode. Gilman then swiped at Beelzemon with flame-covered claws and slashed the leather of his jacket. Gilman then spun and crashed his thick fiery tail against Beelzemon's chest and sent him skidding backwards. Bunny Pummel! Gargamon slammed a glowing green Gatling gun fist against Beelzemon's head before following up with his left gun-like hand. Leomon then appeared beneath Beelzemon and performed an uppercut. Fist of the Beast King! The lion head of energy, combined with the uppercut, made for a deadly combination as Beelzemon was sent skywards. Guardian Barrage! Gardraman fired 2 missiles, one from each of the arm cannons he had present, and the 2 missiles whistled through the air. Beelzemon reacted quickly as he recovered faster than expected and lashed out with his tail, and sent the missiles off course. Beelzemon flew through the air and slammed a fist against Gardraman, and then spun and crashed a boot-covered foot against the side of the android Digimon's head before picking up the rather heavy champion level with just raw strength and threw him into a rock. The rock then became rubble as it fell atop the robotic digital monster. Gardraman! Kazu yelled, My digital chumley, you okay? Kazu ran up to Gardraman. Anyone get the number of the monochroman that ran me over? And Gardraman fainted. Kenta, who had ran with Kazu, quickly got Marine Angeman. Quick, you have to heal him. The pink angel creature quickly blew a kiss which released a red energy in the shape of a heart, and coated Gardraman in a red aura as he was being healed, slowly. Raisin Kadaibakafu! Gilman yelled as he thrust a fire Rasengan at the sin of gluttony, but the demon lord dodged at the last second before he pointed his gun at Gilman's head. Say goodnight. Goodnight! Gargamon yelled before kicking Beelzemon. The mega-level Digimon skidded backwards before turning and pointing his guns. Double impact! The 2 bullets headed for the trigger-happy bunny, who ducked before firing back with a Gargo laser. Beelzemon spread his wings and took to the skies and then swooped down, but was tackled by a blonde Kitsune Digimon. Give up, you're outnumbered, Cubimon demanded as she stood atop the mega-level Digimon, earning a smirk from Beelzemon. Never! and he lashed out by slamming of his feet into Cubimon's stomach, sending her skywards before jumping and meeting the fox in the air and punching her in the face and body before flipping and crashing an axe kick to Cubimon's forehead and sent her crashing to the ground in pain and incapacitated. Gilman, Gargamon and Leomon stood facing off against the raven-winged Digimon. Pyrosphere. 3 spheres of red energy rocketed towards the bird-masked Digimon, who spun and kicked them all into embers before firing his shotguns. Double impact! Beelzemon yelled. Leomon appeared in front of his friends. Digimodify, Lady Devilman activate! Jerry yelled as she swiped the card through her yellow Democrat Arkansas. Leomon roared and released a purple wave of energy that knocked the bullets off course and destroyed much of the ground that was already damaged. Grr. This is taking too long. I need more power, Beelzemon growled in his mind before turning to see Antiloman and Suzie. Perfect, he thought, and sped towards the little 6-year-old girl. Ah, Suzie, no! Henry yelled in fright at seeing his sister in danger, but was caught by surprise. In fact, the watching Tamers all got surprised looks as Antiloman lashed out with a vicious kick and slammed Beelzemon into a boulder. You may not pass this point, and you may not harm Suzie, the large rabbit Davis snarled, her red eyes staring down the rising demon lord. Fool, you cannot defeat the mighty Beelzemon! He yelled and then raced towards Antiloman. Bunny blades! Her hands suddenly transformed into a pair of swords, and wielded them expertly if her deflection of Beelzemon's bullets didn't say much. Antiloman then spun and aimed her large heel at Beelzemon, who put away his guns and grabbed the foot, and then swung Antiloman over his shoulder, and began to spin around, swinging the rabbit Deva around. Whoa! The long-eared Digimon screamed as she was thrown away and smashed into the ground. She groaned in pain and looked to see Beelzemon walking towards her. Antiloman groaned, trying to raise herself. Gosh, I haven't fought in so long, I can't believe I got this weak. Antiloman! Everybody looked to see Suzie running towards Antiloman and Beelzemon. Suzie! The group yelled in alarm before running to stop her from going towards the evil demon lord of gluttony. Oh, an appetizer! Beelzemon licked his lips before cracking his fingers. But as he was getting ready to eat the purple-haired 6-year-old, Antiloman managed to kick him and send him flying over her head and was met with Gargamon's Gatling gun. You don't touch Suzie! Gargamon roared as he punched Beelzemon using bunny pummel, a punch for each word that was said. Beelzemon growled and kicked Gargamon off of him before punching the rabbit in the face, and then followed with another punch to the face. The winged Digimon then twisted his body and an elbow found its way to Gargamon before being sent away and skidding along the ground and stopping at Henry's side. Weak and battered, Gargamon was defeated. Suzie then walked over to Antiloman. Antiloman, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine, kiddo, just a little banged up. I hope you get better, Suzie said with slight tears in her eyes. Don't worry, Suzie, you little gawky. I'll be fine in a few minutes. Suzie smiled at that, and suddenly there was a light from Antiloman as she glowed red and reverted into her rookie form. Lopman, and there floating above Suzie's head was a pink light. The light lowered itself to Suzie's level, who caught the light in her hands, which died down to reveal a pink Democrat Arkansas. Suzie Wong was a Digimon tamer. Gilman and Leomon then roared as they unleashed a storm of Fist of the Beast Kings and Pyro Spheres. The red and orange fiery attacks were all avoided by Beelzemon as he made his way towards the two. Gilman quickly performed Rock Breaker and looked at Takato, who nodded. Digimodify, Firewall activate! Gilman roared before slamming his 2 fire-covered hands on the ground and sent out twin streams of fire that stretched out and formed a wall around Beelzemon, trapping him in a circle of orange and red flames. Fist of the Beast King! Leomon thrust his fists forwards and 2 lion heads roared as they impacted with Beelzemon's body, being powered up by the flames of the Firewall ability card since it was a fire-based attack, and also burning the Demon Lord as he was sent flying through the firewall as it dissipated. Beelzemon rolled on the ground, but managed to get back on his feet. Gilman slashed with his claws, but Beelzemon twisted to the side but found his counter-punch to be blocked by Leomon's blade. The bird-masked Digimon then got a headbutt from Gilman that crashed into his side and sent him skidding along the ground. Leomon then kicked him while he was down. Beelzemon then performed a windmill, kicking Leomon in the face in the process, and then looked to see Jerry standing a few feet away. Look, it's your little tamer, maybe I'll eat her. Leomon's blue eyes widened and then he released a bestial roar. I'll never let you hurt her. Leomon slashed with his blade, but Beelzemon grabbed it and snapped it like a twig before punching Leomon in the face and then kicking him in the stomach. And for the finishing blow, Beelzemon's hand became straight as a board and a dark, foul energy covered it, and became a blade of darkness before it impaled Leomon through the stomach. Leomon let out a roar of pain, and Takato, Henry, Kazu, Kenta, Rika and Jerry all watched in horror as Leomon was killed. Nuh! Came the simultaneous cries of anguish from Jerry and Doraemon? Yes, apparently Ryudaman had leaped and taken the strike for Doraemon. Ryudaman's lower body was missing as it was disintegrated by the black mist cloud that made Lilithman's attack. Naruto, Gatomon and Doraemon watched as Ryudaman's half a body fell to the ground. Ryudaman coughed as he looked to see the rest of his body about to melt away as data flakes. Doraemon, are you okay? He asked his childhood friend. The purple-furred dragon looked at his fellow ex-antibody Digimon. No. Ryudaman, why did you take the hit for me? He asked with tears forming at the edge of his eyes. Because, cough, that's what friends do for each other, they help each other, the armor-wearing dragon replied. Doraemon, I have one last request because obviously, my body is disintegrating and I don't have much time. No. Naruto, quick, find a card, any card to bring him back. What about the computer reboot? Naruto shook his head as he registered what Doraemon told him and nodded, and quickly took out the card and swiped it. Doraemon's hands glowed white, and he touched Ryudaman's disappearing body. It's not working! Doraemon roared to the red sky. Ryudaman raised a hand and put it on Doraemon's face. Listen, my old friend, take my Digicore and use it in your quest to defeat the great evil Shibumi told us about and to defeat Lilithmon. No! Doraemon said, you're going to be alright? How nostalgic. I said those very words to Sagittarium Gigi. Listen Doraemon, I will give you my Digicore and remember, I will always be with you that way. In your Digicore, Ryudaman's body then vanished and burst into orange-colored flakes of data. Doraemon watched as the orange data flakes swirled into a ball of orange data. Doraemon held the ball in his hands and felt the familiar feeling of his friend as it was absorbed into his chest. Doraemon glowed with an orange aura before it vanished. Doraemon sighed before he stood to his feet, and he and Naruto looked at Lilithmon with a new level of hate and anger in their systems. You dare to kill my oldest friend, Doraemon growled. For killing Ryudaman, you will pay with your life. You have hurt my partner, Lilithmon, Demon Lord of Lust. Prepare to be obliterated. Naruto roared as the Kyuubi's chakra seeped into his system, and thus the reaction from Doraemon was that much greater. Gatomon didn't know how to describe it, but she suddenly felt the extreme pain she felt before as the Kyuubi's chakra flooded her being. Her fur turning crimson and her eyes becoming a deep violet. Naruto growled as Doraemon's and his hate for Lilithmon grew. We will kill you, Naruto growled as he grew one tail. Doraemon unconsciously dark digivolved into Dexterugamon. A second tail then sprouted from Naruto's demon fox cloak. Dexterugamon then began to grow larger and more powerful. Dexterugamon Dark Matrix digivolved too. Dexterugamon became encased in metal and became the size of Dorugraemon and looked exactly like it in terms of body structure. Its body was completely black, and where the fur was supposed to be white, it was a blood red. A metal helmet of some sort covered its head, except for the lower jaw. A zigzag-shaped saw blade made up the horn, and a combination of many tails swirled around a steel apparatus which was tipped with a large steel, spiral-shaped tip blade made. The wings were lined with black, just like its skin, and its wing membrane was blood red. White claws and teeth looked ready to slice Lilithmon to shreds. Dexterugamon, however, it refused to end there, for the death of Ryudaman had hit Doraemon much harder than it seemed, and it seems as if the anger of Doraemon was affecting the anger of Naruto as well as he grew a third tail of Yukai. Gatomon howled in even more pain as she felt 3 tails worth of the Kyuubi's Yukai fill her body. Dexterugamon Dark Mega Digivolved too. Dexterugamon grew to a size that dwarfed his other pre-Digivolutions. His body became more humanoid-like, while also looking a bit more draconic. His body was covered in jet black scales that seemed similar to armor. Purple armor that had a large red spike on each armor plate covered its thighs. White, a solid purple-colored armor was worn on its lower legs, lower arm and shoulder areas. 2 yellow, lightning-shaped protrusions grew from its head that seemed to be covered by a helmet of some sort. Its tail was large and thick and tipped with a heavy iron ball that made its tail look like a wrecking ball. Finally, 18 wings, 9 on each side, alternating between black and leathery bat-like wings and red feathered dove-like wings, with one of the 9 each being similar to a serrated blade, were flapping behind its back. Red eyes glowed, filled with the need for vengeance and bloodlust. Dexterugamon. Lilithmon stepped back in horror as she stared at the 2 demons. A giant dragon and a human-sized kitsune, like one with the power that rivaled her own, but still lower. Dexterugamon and Naruto roared before charging, unaware of the pain-racked Gatomon. Meanwhile, Takato was filled with his own feelings of anger and bloodlust along with Gilman. You dared to kill our friend. You killed Jerry's partner. Takato roared. Gilman released a bestial roar as he digivolved into Growlmon. Leomin's body was still in its disappearing stages. Jerry cried as she slumped to her knees, her eyes filled with tears. Henry quickly searched for cards that could somehow help, but couldn't find any, that is until one dropped from his deck. I got it, Gargamon, can you stand? Yeah, the trigger-happy bunny stood to his feet. Henry swiped the card. Digimodify, data absorption activate. Leomin's data was suddenly being directed towards Gargamon and then into Henry's Democrat Arkansas. Jerry, don't worry, I will see you again. Be brave. You make weak on the outside, but on the inside, don't forget, you have a lion's heart. And with that, Leomon left as data flakes and went into Gargamon and then into Henry's Democrat Arkansas, Gargamon being the link between the data and the Democrat Arkansas. Why Takato? Henry looked in shock as he saw his friend's eyes. They were filled with hatred and bloodlust, something he never thought he would see in his best friend. I'll take you down, I will kill you, I will destroy, and we won't forgive you. Growlmon warped Digivolve to Wargrowlmon. Get him, Wargrowlmon! Wargrowlmon roared before slashing at Beelzemon with his blades, but Beelzemon dodged them, but was taken aback by the sudden increase in speed and power as Wargrowlmon slammed his claws down on Beelzemon and created a crater in the ground. Wargrowlmon raised his hand to see Beelzemon lying there before roaring to the heavens. Beelzemon's red eyes snapped open and he charged forward. Double impact. 2 data-destroying bullets fired from the 2 shotguns and Wargrowlmon raised his arms in defense, and Wargrowlmon looked in shock as his arm guards, made of chrome digits, were reduced to mere flakes of data. Beelzemon then punched Wargrowlmon in the face and sent him flying with a roundhouse kick. Wargrowlmon fell to the ground. Get up, Wargrowlmon. Defeat is not an option. Wargrowlmon nodded and his bloodlust, fueled by his tamers, increased, and then there was a dark red aura surrounding Wargrowlmon and the digital hazard symbol on his chest began to glow, flashing between crimson and black. Wargrowlmon Dark Mega Digivolve 2. Wargrowlmon shed his armor. His legs merged together and joined with his tail and grew to the same size as Dexdoragorman. His arms grew more muscular as the armor was shed, and then his head and face became more dragon-like and more menacing looking. A pair of torn, lava-colored wings grew from the Mega Digimon's back. His body was suddenly coated in chrome digit armor once more, except much stronger. It was cream-colored while it was primarily blood-red. In the center of its chest, where a cream-colored chestplate lay, the digital hazard symbol glowed crimson there. The armor was cream on the chest, below the upper body where the tail started, the shoulder areas, and the underside of the tail. In black, the digital hazard symbol was emblazoned on the left shoulder. 2 curved, deadly-looking blades grew from the armor. Sharp claws and teeth were ready to slice Beelzemon to bits. Megadramon! Beelzemon grabbed Megadramon as the large Digimon tried to attack him and fended him off. Beelzemon suddenly was pushed back before Megadramon grabbed him in his claws and roared, "Kill him!" Takato ordered. Megadramon threw Beelzemon away, near the battlefield where Naruto was in the sin of gluttony rolled along the ground before coming to a stop. There was a loud scream and Beelzemon turned to see an incoming object. Lilithmon flew through the air and crashed into Beelzemon, sending him back to the ground as he was about to get up. What the bitch, get off of me, Urasai, there's this giant dragon Digimon about to kill me with his demonic Kitsune partner. Yeah, well, I got my own giant dragon problem, Toots, Beelzemon said as they both stood to their feet. Dexdoragorman roared as it flew towards Lilithmon and Beelzemon with Naruto and Megadramon. The 2 giant dragons and 1 Jinchuriki surrounded the group from 3 sides. The 3 growled before releasing deafening roars of anger. Megadramon slashed at the 2 demon lords, but they dodged. Lilithmon was suddenly grabbed by her neck and slammed to the earth as Dexdoragorman attacked. Naruto ran up to Lilithmon and released a roar that doubled as a chakra pulse, and an arc of red churka flew towards Lilithmon's down form and sent her flying out of the crater she was currently in. Megadramon lashed out with his tail and slapped Beelzemon with it before picking up a chunk of earth and throwing it. The rock slammed into Beelzemon before it also landed on Lilithmon, and both sins of lust and gluttony. Grr. We need more power to beat these guys, Beelzemon said. I know, but where are we going to get? Lilithmon asked. Dragon howling. Megadramon released a roar that generated a shockwave that made the earth shatter and quake as Beelzemon and Lilithmon were knocked off balance. Metal impulse. Dexdoragorman roared before slamming his wrecking ball-like tail down on the ground. The ball melted into a liquid and seeped into the cracked ground. Beelzemon and Lilithmon then looked around before there was a large rumbling beneath them, and suddenly began to jump about as a multitude of metal spikes flew out of the ground in attempts to impale them. Double impact. Phantom pain. Both demon lords released their attacks, but Naruto flashed through hand signs. Futon. Kamikaze no jutsu /wind style, Holy Wind Jutsu. Naruto blew a powerful gust of wind that sent the bullets off course, and the phantom pain missed back at the original user. Beelzemon and Lilithmon quickly took to the skies. However, Naruto formed more hand signs: Futon, Tatsumaki/wind style, tornado. A vortex of wind formed as the wind began to swirl violently. Katon, Gukaku no Jutsu/fire style, grand fireball jutsu. Naruto released a ball of flame towards the tornado of wind before it burst into flames. Katon, Kaarashi no Jutsu/fire style, firestorm jutsu. Naruto yelled as he watched the red tornado of flame. Beelzemon and Lilithmon used whatever wing strength they had to get away and soused in avoiding dying a fiery death. They sighed in relief and smirked as they could fly. They had the advantage. But forgot one little detail in their advantage. Dexdoragorman and Megadramon could fly too. Both dragons slashed and sent the demon lords to the ground before trying to repeatedly punching them into oblivion, while also slamming them with their tails. "Where's Gatomon?" Rika asked and looked to see a faint figure in the distance. She quickly helped Cubamon climb to her feet and race past her fighting boyfriend. She got off Cubamon and looked to see Gatomon writhing in pain just as when Doraemon had become Dexdoragomon. Her fur was red, eyes a deep, evil-looking violet. Help me, she whimpered, and Rika couldn't help but feel pity for the hard-headed feline. Rika nodded before picking up Gatomon and resting her atop Cubamon. She then ran back over and grabbed Jerry over to where Takato was as he was watching Megadramon, Dexdoragorman, and Naruto beat the shit out of the two demon lords. "Naruto Kun!" Rika yelled. "Takato Kun!" Jerry yelled. They couldn't hear them as the sounds of fighting filled the air. Cubamon then ran up to Takato and rested Jerry there before running towards Naruto. Jerry walked up towards Takato, whose eyes were filled with the anger and bloodlust of a killer. "Takato-kun! Takato-kun, please stop this!" Jerry shouted. Takato looked at Jerry. "Jerry-chan, what are you talking about? He killed Leomon, he made you cry." "Beelzemon deserves this," Takato yelled back. "Nani?" Jerry looked in shock as she heard Takato's words. Slap! Takato touched his reddening face from where Jerry slapped him. "Takato-kun, Gilman was a nice sweet little Digimon, but you made him into a demon, a monster. Look at him." Jerry pointed to the draconic beast and Takato's eyes widened. "Huh!" Takato shook his head as if he had just woken up from a trance, and then his eyes widened as he saw the giant Megadramon, GGG Gilman. "Is that Gilman? Hi, Takato-kun. Please change him back to normal. Please, and don't be so angry anymore," Jerry sobbed as she walked up to him, and then wrapped Takato in a hug, surprising the goggle-wearing Tamer. "Please," she whispered. Takato nodded after a while. "Okay." Rika and Cubamon stopped, the weakened Gatomon held in Rika's arms. "How do we get Naruto's attention?" Rika asked. Naruto roared to the heaven as he slammed his paws down on the ground, burying them beneath the earth before they began to extend, and then he wrapped each one of the two demon lords in a tight grip before slamming them repeatedly into the ground. However, the two mega-level Digimon managed to break free. Double impact! Naruto roared and sent a chakra pulse that caused an explosion as Beelzemon channeled most of his power into those attacks. The explosion sent Naruto flying back from the shockwave and skidding in front of Rika and Cubamon. "Naruto Kun!" Rika gasped in surprise, her eyes widening as she saw her boyfriend, coated in the Kitsune demon cloak, darkened whisker marks, crimson eyes with slitted pupils, wilder-looking hair. He truly looked like a demon, she whispered to herself to complete the though. Naruto stood to his feet, but paused when he heard Rika call him. Naruto turned, with a scowl. "Rikchch-chan." Naruto was losing his will to tell friend from foe as shown by his stuttering. "Naruto, please turn back to normal. You're hurting Gatomon. Every time you go into the cubified state, you always end up hurting her," Rika pleaded. Naruto growled. "Me? Don't hurt Gatomon, protect, keep her safe," he growled as he dropped from his legs to all fours. "Naruto, listen to me, please turn back to normal. If not for me, at least for Gatomon, and if not for Gatomon, at least change Doraemon back, please," she pleaded. Naruto flinched as he looked at the writhing Gatomon, and then turned around to see the large, gigantic armored dragon that was Dexdoragorman. The bubbles of the Kyuubi's chakra began to recede back into the seal and disappear without a trace. Naruto fell to his knees from using so much of the Kyuubi's chakra, but also from the shock at seeing what he made his partner become. Gatomon's fur became normal again, and her eyes became deep blue once more. She gasped as if she had been holding her breath for the longest while and then looked at Naruto. "Naruto?" she asked. Naruto looked at his feline teammate. "I don't know what to do, Gatomon. Doraemon looks like a draconic demon, and I can't do anything to change him back," he roared, slamming his fist on the ground. Naruto looked at his bloody knuckles and then looked at his second partner. He never really noticed before, but Gekomon was actually wearing a pretty golden ring around her tail. "Mateo, wait a minute." Naruto reached into his weapons pouch. "Please, let it still be there, please, please," Naruto said to himself. Rika, Cubimon and Gekomon looked at each other and back at Naruto as he rummaged through the pouch before he smirked and pulled out a kunai. It looked like any other kunai, except the blade was longer, and it was made entirely of Huanglong or the metal of Fanglongman's scales. The scale of light. Gekomon. On it Naruto drew his blue card and swiped it through his Democrat Arkansas. Gekomon Matrix Digivolve to Angewoman. The angelic Digimon quickly readied her bow. "I hope this works," Naruto said. Angewoman nodded. "I hope so too." Angewoman pulled the invisible bow string back and an arrow of light formed. The arrow then grew at least 5 times larger as the power of light from Fanglongman's single scale enhanced its strength. "Sug, this is the power of Fanglongman?" Angewoman couldn't believe her eyes as she watched her attack's power increase. "Okay, Angewoman, you got one shot at this. No pressure," the angelic Digimon said sarcastically before aiming the arrow. "Don't worry, Naruto, I won't miss." She fired the arrow. It sailed straight and true through the air before stabbing through Goremon's hide. The dragon of steel and darkness roared in pain as the light of Fanglongman began to glow and spread throughout its being. The glow spread and began to get brighter, releasing light radiation and indirectly affecting Megadramon, who was also roaring in pain now, due to the light. Goremon and Megadramon both roared to the crimson skies before they began to digivolve into their previous forms before becoming their rookie stages. Doraemon and Gilman. Doraemon, Gilman, Takato and Naruto ran towards their partners who were both unconscious from the purging of their evil, dark mega-level cells. "Ugh, what hit me?" Doraemon asked. Naruto sniffled as he hugged the purple-furred dragon, same as Takato to Gilman. "So Takato?" Naruto turned to the goggle-wearing Tamer. Takato looked at Naruto and nodded. "Yeah, you ready to kick some ass?" Naruto reached into his pocket to pull out Doraemon's reddish-violet Democrat Arkansas, but instead got a crushed piece of metal and plastic. "Oh shit!" Takato looked at his red Democrat Arkansas to find it in a similar condition. "Look, now's our chance to attack," Lilithmon said, standing up with Beelzemon. Though they had just received a royal beatdown from the 2 large dragon megas, they still were able to fight. Beelzemon and Lilithmon both picked up large boulders using their amazing strength and hurled them at the Tamers and their partners. Naruto flashed through hand signs. Suetun, Mizu no Yaiba, 2 water blades formed in Naruto's hands as the water in the air condensed. Takato! Takato turned and caught the liquid blade, and he and Naruto threw them and slashed the boulder in half and thus escaped unharmed from the projectiles. "Oh man, I wish we could get out Diark's back. If we don't, it means I'll never be Gilman's Tamer again." "Same thing for me and Doraemon." The 2 reptilian-looking Digimon looked at their Tamers and frowned. "Don't worry, you two, I'm sure things will perk up. I mean, we lasted this long together, there's no doubt that wouldn't not be Tamer and partner," Gilman said. It was as Gilman said that a Diginome was floating above them and then glowed with a golden light. The Diginome suddenly split off into 2 separate orbs of light. One was golden, and one was bluish-silver. The gold one landed in Takato's field of vision, and the bluish-silver one in Naruto's. Both boys looked in shock before grabbing the 2 balls of light, and to their surprise, it was 2 new Diarks for their partners. It looked like their normal Diarks, except these were slightly larger. Naruto's was bluish-silver, and Takato's was gold. Around the rim, the word Digimon Tamer was written in Digicode. Suga. Naruto and Takato gave each other and their partners high fives. "Yada!" Takato smiled before looking at Gilman. Naruto looked at Doraemon before the 4 looked at Beelzemon and Lilithmon. "Now then." Naruto spoke. "Are you two?" Takato followed after his blonde leader. "Prepared to lose?" Takato and Naruto said simultaneously. Beelzemon and Lilithmon looked at each other before laughing. "Oh please, even if we are heavily damaged, there's still no way you can beat us," the Sin of Lust said. "We'll see about that," Naruto and Takato yelled. "Our Digimon work together with us in harmony. We have been through too much to be stopped now. The hearts of the Digimon are one with the hearts of us humans. He is human, I am Digimon." Biomerged Digivolution. Gilman biomerged too. Takato and Gilman were surrounded by a golden light, and suddenly Takato and Gilman fused into one another within the light. Gilman's body became human-like and was coated in armor. 99.9% chrome Digis armor to be exact. The armor was pure white, and the shoulders, knees and ankles all had an armored covering in red and gold. Golden-colored eyes watched through the helmet whose top looked much like the top of Gilman's head. Gilman's hands became human-like hands, and then there was a flash of light. In the right hand of the biomerged Digimon, there was a long silver-colored lance, the lower part being red and gold to match his armor, the Holy Lance, Graham. In his left hand was a large shield that would be able to cover at least 2/3 of the Digimon's body. The rim of the shield was gold with golden triangles creating a circular pattern around another circle, making it similar to a sun, the Holy Shield Aegis. Its cuirass and greaves are adorned with the symbol of the digital hazard, its forehead and Aegis bear the 0 unit, and the Digi code on Aegis translates to digital monster. The knight-looking Digimon twirled its spear expertly and hoisted its shield, looking as noble as any knight should while shouting his name. Gallantman, Biomerged Digivolution. Doraemon Biomerged 2. Naruto and Doraemon were surrounded by a bluish-silver light, and suddenly Naruto and Doraemon fused into one another within the light. Doraemon grew to a larger height, about 17 feet tall. Its body was similar to that of a humanoid dragon. It was covered with armor-like scales colored a deep royal blue on the stomach, knee and shoulder areas, while the rest was shining silver. There were also some traces of golden armor scales. 2 large wings grew out from its back and fanned out, and looked to be made of steel. The wing membrane was a deep cerulean blue, the wing itself was silver while its wingtips were golden. On its hands, 3 fingers tipped with razor-sharp claws formed. The claws scratched against each other, and created sparks as the dragon's hands ignited with orange and yellow flames. Sharp teeth lined the humanoid dragon Digimon's jaws. The tail was long, strong, and covered in the same type of silvery armor scales. The tip was similar to that of a spear head of a unique design with golden patterns on it. Golden eyes glowed in their sockets, and the ruby gem of the old interface shone in the center of the biomerged Digimon's forehead. The humanoid dragon released a thunderous roar, releasing bursts of flame and projectiles of steel before shouting out its name. Doraemon!